Chapter 861. Double Spiritual Body, False Core Combat Power. This is also one of the advantages of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Ordinary spirit vein cave mansions, once depleted of spiritual energy, can be very troublesome, only able to constantly siphon the surrounding spiritual energy. But Mount Sumeru can actively transport the spiritual energy within the cave heaven, and even help siphon the spiritual energy from by Lake Mountain. Yes, Master. Mount Sumeru immediately responded, mobilizing the spiritual energy within the cave heaven. Splash! Lu Chongqing sat quietly in meditation, consuming 3 elixir medicines and holding 2 superior-grade spirit stones. Within the Qi ocean core of his dantian, liquid mana surged violently, forming whirlpools that devoured countless nature's spiritual energy and compressed and condensed it into liquid mana. Drip! 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 Droplets of iridescent 7-colored liquid mana entered the elixir lake. It was hard to tell how much time had passed when the liquid mana in the elixir lake reached its limit and roared thunderously. The Yin-Yang 5 Elements foundation base glowed radiantly at this moment, circulating Yin and Yang in the 5 elements, assaulting the realm and continuously expanding the Qi ocean core. The mana in the elixir lake revolved around the Dao foundation during this process, continuously condensing and faintly forming a spherical shape. Once his cultivation level reached the peak of foundation establishment, achieving perfection, he would attempt to condense mana into true essence, ready to break through to core formation. Boom! Lu Changsheng's realm shattered like water flowing into a channel. From the middle stage of foundation establishment to the late stage, for many, is a chasm, an insurmountable gap. S.E.A. The Novel Fire, NE*T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Some might never break through in their lifetime. But now, before Lu Chongqing, there were absolutely no bottlenecks hindering him, as natural as eating or drinking. With the breakthrough, the Dao Foundation burst forth with radiant light, and the mana surged like mighty rivers, washing over his meridians and flesh. Every realm breakthrough also slightly elevated a cultivator's physical body. Although not comparable to body-refining cultivators of the same order, it was still extraordinary. Due to his body cultivation, this baptism had little effect on Lu Chongqing. But during this process, his meridians and dantian became more condensed and resilient. Late stage of foundation establishment. A hint of joy appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. I've finally broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. Advancing to the late stage of foundation establishment brought him one step closer to achieving core formation. He directed his divine sense towards the profound origin bead within his Qi ocean core. At this moment, the profound origin bead was furiously inhaling and exhaling spiritual energy and mana, constantly rotating and emitting 7-color twilight. This profound origin bead could make the energy refinement late stage comparable to foundation establishment, and the foundation establishment late stage comparable to false core. Now, as Lu Chongqing broke through to the late stage of foundation establishment, the effects of this profound origin bead finally reached their apex. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After a long while, the profound origin bead calmed. Only a faint 7-colored radiance flowed over it, exuding a sacred and profound aura. Is this the mana of false core level? If not using talisman formation or other methods, merely fighting normally, I'm afraid it would take 3 moves for me to subdue my past self. Lu Chongqing felt the mana flowing through his body, quietly savoring the indescribable delight of power permeating his body. Not only his mana but his physical body and the 100 refinements treasure body art at this moment had also reached the 7th layer's peak. It wouldn't be long before he could break through to the 8th level, reaching the quasi-3rd order. I wonder how my current strength compares to a true false core immortal. Lu Chongqing pondered in his heart. Although the profound origin bead could make the late stage of foundation establishment comparable to false core, in reality, he had yet to confront a false core. Mount Sumeru. With a thought, he called out to Mount Sumeru, commanding it to pull him into the illusionary realm of Mount Sumeru. Since he wasn't sure, he might as well use Mount Sumeru to test it. The next moment, dressed in a blue magical robe that rustled without wind, he appeared in a murky realm of gray mists in the Mount Sumeru illusion. Buzz! Lu Chongqing looked ahead at the rolling fog, lightly lifted his palm, fingers joined together, and a fiercely sharp 7-colored sword Qi burst forth. Whoosh! Layer upon layer of gray mist was pierced. Afterward, Lu Chongqing patted his storage bag, and the true Yang 5 element sword appeared in his hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! the brilliance of the five-element sword burst forth, tearing through the void and whipping up a storm of sword chi, stirring the surrounding gray mist. This true Yang five-element sword is just a middle-grade spiritual artifact. It's completely insufficient now. With my current strength, I am fully capable of wielding magical treasures. Lu Chongqing looked at the true Yang five-element sword in his hand and shook his head disapprovingly, finding it dull. This spiritual artifact could not support him when he went all out. Then, an ancient lamp, circulating like 7 stars, appeared above his head. It was his life-bound spiritual artifact, the 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp. This 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp also needs resources to be recast. Otherwise, nurturing it slowly like this will clearly not keep up. Lu Chongqing looked at his life-bound spiritual artifact and exhaled deeply. This 7 Luminaries Heart Lamp, nurtured by him over the years, was just barely a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Now it was also unable to keep up with his pace. At this moment, Lu Chongqing realized that he had always been benevolent and never sought conflict. Yet now, he found himself without a single handy magical treasure. If he were to face a false core immortal, he would suffer from not having a magical treasure. I wonder if I can activate a superior quality magical treasure? Lu Chongqing thought of the superior grade magical robe he was wearing. In theory, as a superior quality magical treasure, the fate-defying robe wasn't something he should be able to activate at his level. But there was no harm in trying. Immediately, he urged the mana in his dantian, madly infusing it into the fate-defying robe. Suddenly, the prohibitions within the robe started to flicker. But that was it. No matter how much more mana he expended, he could not fully activate the might of this robe. He could only barely make use of a few of the robe's teleportation prohibition effects, unable to achieve invisibility in the void. He would have to wait until he reached core formation to fully unleash this robe's potential. A superior quality magical treasure is still too much of a stretch. Using such a magical treasure is more loss than gain. With my strength, I can at most handle a lower-grade magical treasure. However, I can start preparing to forge the 7 Luminaries Star Sword from the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. Even if it doesn't become a magical treasure, just 7 magical treasure embryos would still be tremendously powerful. Lu Changsheng's eyes slightly narrowed, thinking of the accompanying magical treasure from the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture, the 7 Luminaries Star Sword. With this set of flying swords once completed, he could set up a simplified 7 Luminary sword formation, significantly increasing his combat strength. However, 7 magical treasures flying swords would be enormously expensive. Many materials couldn't be bought in the market and had to be acquired through various channels, trading items for items. Although he was quite wealthy, comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, forging these 7 magical treasure embryos was still a difficult burden to bear. Forget it, I've always been kind and don't like conflicts. There's no rush to forge these 7 luminary star swords. I can slowly gather the materials. Lu Chongqing shook his head, dismissing the idea of forging this set of magical treasure embryos now. After all, if he really had to face an enemy now, he still had talisman formations, 9 treasures Rui Bone, Endless Guileful Head, and the Dark Demon Corpse. These were enough for him to face an average nascent soul cultivator. Immediately afterward, he willed Mount Sumeru to send him back to his cave mansion. He inquired about how his attack power compared to Xiahou Wuwa before. Mount Sumeru immediately indicated that his sword chi power just now was still much weaker than Xiahou Wuwa, but within a range where they could contend. In that case, I suppose I do have the normal false core strength. Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow, inwardly thought. Originally, Xiahou Wuwa in the Mount Sumeru illusion had used a life-bound magic treasure to attack, while he had only used a middle-grade spiritual artifact. Given a magical treasure, of course, he would be considered at normal false core strength. But, I still have 2 more draws. Who knows, maybe he'll get something good. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. Although both his children were spiritual bodies with flaws. In the system's judgment, both were spiritual bodies, so he obtained 2 draws. This also confirmed for Lu Chongqing that as long as he had a child born as a spiritual body, he would have a draw opportunity. System draw. Lu Chongqing spoke aloud. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 862. Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining a 3rd rank Evil X Banisher Elixir. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. An elixir medicine pattern immediately emerged from the Great Roulette, accompanied by a system notification sound. Evil X Banisher Elixir? Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow and looked towards the system space. Immediately, information about the Evil X Banisher Elixir appeared. Sarch * the novel, F. Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Elixir Medicine, Evil X Banisher Elixir. Quality, 3rd rank. Description. The Evil X Banisher Elixir can break goo poison, seals, curses, prohibitions, and other divine skill effects. Lu Chongqing looked at the effects of the Evil X Banisher Elixir in front of him, his brow slightly furrowed. Although this effect is alright and could solve some unexpected situations, currently, it was of little use to him and would only collect dust. Right now, with so many elixir medicines, only the Spirit Pill, Purple Mansion Elixir, and the Coagulation Crystal Elixir are somewhat useful. Lu Chongqing gently shook his head and looked at the system to continue. Draw the lottery. The system's Great Roulette in front of him began to spin again. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining a 3rd rank Origin Flame Seed, Thunder Gang Yen. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A 3rd rank Origin Flame Seed? Is this Heavenly Spiritual Fire? Lu Chongqing looked at the reward and a trace of surprise showed on his face. The world is filled with many spiritual fires. Once cultivators obtain the Origin Flame Seed of these spiritual fires, they can claim them for their own. These spiritual fires have immense applications. Not only are they incredibly powerful and can be used for fighting techniques, but they are also invaluable to alchemists and artifact refiners. For example, a lot of 2nd rank elixir medicines, without an alchemy chamber or earth core fire, Lu Chongqing couldn't possibly refine them. Because the flames he condensed with his mana were insufficient to support him for long periods of alchemy, and the temperature was not high enough. But if he had a type of heavenly spiritual fire, he wouldn't need to rely on earth core fire. Moreover, according to the records and books, using such heavenly spiritual fires for alchemy and artifact refining would not only increase the success rate but also significantly improve the quality of the elixir medicines and magic artifacts produced. Thunder Gang Yen, a 3rd rank flame seed, seems to be quite an impressive heavenly spiritual fire. Lu Chongqing looked towards the system space. Instantly, information about Thunder Gang Yen appeared. Flame Seed, Thunder Gang Yen. Quality, 3rd rank. Description. An intense flame from the heart of a volcanic magma, after enduring countless thunder tribulations and fusions, develops a hint of spirituality, with a wild and dominant attribute. Thunder Gang Yen, with a wild and dominant attribute? Seems like this type of spiritual fire is more suitable for refining artifacts rather than alchemy. Lu Chongqing, with an eyebrow raised, looked at the Thunder Gang Yen before him. As a 2nd-tier top-level alchemist, he had some understanding of flames, knowing that for alchemy, one would mostly use flames of a gentler nature. Only a small number of elixir medicines would require such wildly dominant flames. However, at least it's a 3rd rank heavenly spiritual fire. Even if not for alchemy, it's a good option to have on hand. A smile appeared on Lu Chongqing's face. He did not immediately extract and refine the heavenly spiritual fire. This trip was simply a chance to take a break and draw a lottery. He had just broken through and had been delayed for quite some time. Now, it was natural to accompany his wives and concubines first. At the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. What did you say? Spirit stone veins were found deep within the mine near Bihu Lake Mountain in Black Cloud Mountain Range. The Zhao family ancestor showed a look of surprise upon hearing the report from the Zhao family patriarch. When Bihu Lake Mountain was first established, Lu Chongqing sold many properties and veins under his name or cooperated with other families. As a neighboring foundation establishment family, their White Tiger Mountain Zhao family took over a vein at the mine. Unexpectedly, beneath that vein, a spirit stone mine was discovered. This. Yes, ancestor, I went to verify it. This spirit stone mine is not small. It contains middle-grade spirit stones and can be mined for at least 50 to 60,000 pieces. The Zhao family patriarch spoke with joy in his voice, 50 to 60,000 spirit stones were not a small number for their Zhao family. 50 to 60,000? The Zhao family ancestors' eyes narrowed sharply upon hearing this. This was not a small number indeed. And that was just an initial estimate. He asked gravely, "Does the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain know about this?" These past 10 years, the Lu family has only taken care of distributing profits without inquiring into matters. It was only since last year that a little girl would come to oversee and check. The Zhao family patriarch shook his head and said, "So the Lu family still doesn't know about this spirit stone mine." The Lu family doesn't know yet. The Zhao family ancestor's face showed a thoughtful look as he said, "If we were to hide this, how long could we keep it a secret?" He naturally didn't want to give this spirit stone mine to the Lu family. Once informed, their Zhao family would only get a sip of the soup, at best. "Ancestor, if the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain finds out, our family may face big trouble," the Zhao family patriarch said, showing a worried and fearful expression. Although the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain had only been established for just over a decade, its founder, Lu Chongqing, was renowned and formidable. Just into his foundation establishment, he relied on talisman formations to slay 3 foundation establishment cultivators of the Yu family, thus establishing the Lu family of Bihu Lake Mountain. Later, with his wife Lu Miaoga, they killed 5 foundation establishment cultivators in the Red Leaf Valley market. The family also had an array master in residence. Such strength and battle records, even if exaggerated and relying on external items, were undoubtedly impressive. They were not something their Zhao family could compare to. I am well aware, which is why I am asking you how long we can keep this a secret. The Zhao family ancestor looked at his kin's fearful face with a touch of disappointment, knowing that cultivation was a struggle for the great Dao. Now that such an enormous opportunity had presented itself, his descendants were showing fear at the mere name of the other party, which was very disappointing. "We can conceal it for some time at present, but once we start mining in full force, at most half a year from now, they will undoubtedly notice something amiss. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 863. Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Moreover, I have already investigated. This girl is not just putting on a show or going through the motions. She checks thoroughly every time. The Zhao family patriarch thus spoke. "What is this girl's name, and is there a way to bribe her?" The Zhao family ancestor continued to inquire. "This woman is named Lu Rui and is the daughter of Lu Changsheng's concubine. The Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain is famously generous toward the family's disciples. It may not be easy to bribe this woman." A serious expression appeared on the Zhao family patriarch's face. "Lu Rui." The Zhao family ancestor heard the name but did not remember anything particular about it. Being the Zhao family ancestor, he was familiar with the situation at Blue Lake Mountain. However, Lu Chongqing had too many children to keep track of them all. He mainly remembered that the Lu family once had 2 fourth-grade spiritual root talents, named Lu Qingxian and Lu Wangshu. Then, the person in charge of the Lu family's puppet factory seemed to be Lu Xianji. If this woman is not yet married, send someone to test the waters and make contact with her. If it seems feasible, go to Blue Lake Mountain to propose a marriage and see if we can tie her to our Zhao family. The Zhao family ancestor spoke gravely. Their family had suffered heavy losses in the battle at Blackwater Pool years ago. Not only had a foundation establishment ancestor died, but several foundation establishment seeds as well. Over the years, he vigorously supported and nurtured new blood, and gradually the family situation improved. However, this also caused the family to be caught in a financial crunch. If they could develop this spirit stone mine, it would not only relieve the family's situation but also provide the finances to cultivate new foundation establishment cultivators. Blue Lake Mountain. Lu Family Mansion. "Dad, these are our family's immortal seedlings from the Xian generation this year." Lu Qingsong had gone to Rui Prefecture for the spirit root testing ceremony and brought back the Lu family's disciples who possessed spiritual roots to Blue Lake Mountain. "Greetings, grandfather." The 2 from the Lu family's Xian generation greeted Lu Chongqing with respect. Their eyes were somewhat curious as they sized up the grandfather before them. They had heard from their parents that their own grandfather was an immortal, and now they could also undertake cultivation. What are your names? Lu Chongxing asked the two children softly. I am Lu Xianchan, and I am Lu Xuanyu. The two children crisply responded. Xianchan, Xuanyu. Lu Chongxing nodded slightly, asked a few simple questions, and then had his son, Lu Yun, settle the two children. As time passed, now and then an immortal seedling would appear among the worldly descendants of the Lu family. This year, producing two was considered quite good. After all, the total number of the Lu family's third generation had reached 197, almost equal to the number of his children. But among these 193 children, only 13 were spiritual root children. Moreover, 9 out of these 13 were from Blue Lake Mountain, born to Lu Yun, Lu Xianji, and others. One can only say that with both parents being mortals, birthing a spiritual root is extremely difficult. They could only rely on the large numbers to luck out a few. A month later, Lu Chongxing, recalling the Thunder Gangyan in his system space, expressed that he sensed something and was ready to enter closed-door cultivation for a period. Naturally, Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and others had no objections. After all, this is the daily routine of most cultivators. Like Lu Miaoge, who often entered closed-door cultivation, sometimes staying in his cave mansion for 10 days or half a month. For Lu Chongxing, spending most of his days leisurely and accompanying his wives and children was really an anomaly among cultivators. Extract. In the Chongxing Hall, inside his cave mansion, Lu Chongxing looked at the system space and silently uttered a command. Immediately, a palm-sized purple-red flame appeared in mid-air, exuding an intense heat. As it burned and tumbled, it seemed as though a purple thundersnake was moving through the flame, wildly and terrifyingly, causing significant distortions in the space around the flame. Deserving of a third-rank heavenly spiritual fire, truly terrifying like this. Lu Chongxing slightly stepped back, marveling at the Thunder Gangyan before him. From the system's information on the Thunder Gangyan, he knew that if he could refine this Thunder Gangyan, his combat power would increase by a level, giving him an additional method. However, such a heavenly spiritual fire that had developed a sentience was not easy to refine and subdue. It's good that I have an edge. Lu Chongxing took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. Next, he took out a magical sword artifact and forcefully slashed his palm, causing blood to flow and cover his hand. Come on, little guy. Lu Changsheng's mana flowed, enveloping his hand as he slowly extended it into the Thunder Gangyan. Even though the Thunder Gangyan had a sentient consciousness and no intention to harm him, just the innate power of the flame made his palm burn and sting, as if his skin was against a red-hot iron. Damn! If it weren't for my breakthrough to the late stage of foundation establishment, possessing the profound origin bead, and having mana comparable to a false core, even with the system's help, it would be impossible to refine such a third-rank flame. Lu Chongxing felt the scorching pain in his palm and sharply inhaled. If it weren't for the system's information about the Thunder Gangyan giving him confidence and knowing he could refine it, he would definitely have given up. The Thunder Gangyan, sensing Lu Changsheng's pain, the purple snake within started to draw his fresh blood. As it absorbed the blood, the burning flame gradually diminished until it condensed into a thumb-sized purple-red origin flame seed. This was the origin flame seed of the Thunder Gangyan. From the information in the system, Lu Chongxing knew that when the Thunder Gangyan initially formed, it was nearly the size of half a mountain. Only through continuous condensation did it gradually take this shape. Only then could it truly be called a heavenly spiritual fire. The real test of skill has arrived. Search * the novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongxing looked at the thumb-sized flame seed in his hand, his eyelids twitching. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 864. Evil X Banisher Elixir, Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Next, he needed to swallow the seed of fire and then refine and assimilate it with his mana. This was the most dangerous step in refining heavenly spiritual fire. Whether they were energy-refining cultivators, foundation establishment cultivators, or nascent soul immortals, the internal parts of the body were always the most fragile. Especially the meridians and dantian. If something went wrong, at best, cultivation could be half ruined. At worst, one could die. Thus, refining heavenly spiritual fire was very dangerous. Most alchemists and artifact refiners in the world would choose to cultivate some sort of innate true fire technique and divine skills. Only a very few dared to refine heavenly spiritual fire. Yet before refining, they would prepare various heavenly and earthly treasures to minimize risks. Or, being nascent soul immortals, they would choose to refine second-rank heavenly spiritual fire and then gradually nurture it. Someone like Lu Chongqing, who prepared nothing and even dared to refine heavenly spiritual fire of a higher rank than his own, was truly one of a kind. Anyone who saw this would exclaim, "Aren't you seeking death?" If not for this control talisman, this thing would really be creepy, practically playing with life. Lu Chongqing looked at the seed of fire and clicked his tongue in emotion. He took out several ice attribute talismans and healing talismans from his storage ring, along with 1 or 2 bottles of elixir medicines. Then, his mana spread throughout his body, and he raised his palm and tossed the seed of fire into his mouth. Though Mr. Lu cherished his life and disliked suffering, he was willing to endure some minor hardships for a great reward. After all, not being able to endure hardships and not liking to endure hardships were two different things. Once the seed of fire entered his mouth, Lu Chongqing immediately closed his lips tightly, grunted, and his face turned slightly pale. He bore the intense burning heat inside his body, closed his eyes, sat cross-legged, and his divine sense sank into his body. One could see that once Thunder Gangyan entered his body, it immediately dispersed into strands of fine purple-red flames circulating through his meridians. Even though these flames were extremely fine, like strands of hair, they carried intense heat and seemed as though they were going to burn and melt his flesh and muscles. Puff puff puff. The mana covering Lu Changsheng's body was constantly being consumed. He immediately took the prepared elixir medicines and talismans, allowing a cold stream to surge throughout his body to suppress the scorching heat. Then, he began to refine the seed of fire with the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, and the 100 refinements treasure body art in operation. As his cultivation techniques operated, the Thunder Gangyan was very cooperative. This was also the confidence he had to dare refine the seed of fire. Otherwise, during this process, if the seed's inherent consciousness began to fiercely resist, causing the flames to become more furious and the fire to blaze, it would be extremely dangerous. Hum hum hum. At this moment, it seemed as if a dragon's roar sounded within Lu Chongqing. His dragon roar physique instinctively awakened, unleashing a fierce and domineering yang energy that swept out, rushing towards the Thunder Gangyan, aiming to suppress the source of the seed and aid in its refinement. The dragon roar physique has such an effect? Lu Chongqing looked surprised. Although he vaguely knew about the dragon roar physique, he was unaware of the specific powers and effects of this spiritual body. Unexpectedly, the dragon roar physique could actually help him refine heavenly spiritual fire. Could it be because both dragon roar physique and Thunder Gangyan possess dominating attributes of extreme yang? S.E. the novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing guessed in his heart. At this moment, he personally experienced the effects of having a top-level spiritual body. No wonder many top-tier techniques, treasures, and spiritual beasts, which ordinary cultivators found difficult to subdue, were easily subdued by geniuses. Because with good talent, facing these things was supposed to be much simpler and easier. Without much thought, Lu Chongqing calmly refined the origin of this flame seed. With the active cooperation of the Thunder Gangyan and the help of the Dragon Roar physique, the refinement process became much smoother instantly. During this process, Lu Chongqing realized that the Dragon Roar of Yang energy was continuously merging into the Thunder Gangyan in his body. Accompanied by the Thunder Gangyan circulating through his meridians, it gradually fused with his physical body, meridians, and mana. This process was very mystical, causing some inexplicable changes to the Thunder Gangyan. Just like this, time passed little by little. He didn't know how much time had passed. The thumb-sized flame seed fused all the diffused purple-red flames and reformed into a small flame. Lu Chongqing had initially refined this flame seed and could roughly control this cluster of Thunder Gangyan. But he still needed to be careful in controlling it, otherwise, a careless mistake could injure himself. He did not stop and continued refining the Thunder Gangyan, preparing to refine it all at once. As the Dragon Roar of Yang energy and Thunder Gangyan kept merging, the origin of the flame transformed into a purple-golden thunder dragon, possessing a more divine and domineering aura. This made the flame circulate and wander through his meridians repeatedly, gradually tempering his meridians and bones, accelerating the operation of his 100 refinements treasure body art at this moment. He didn't know how much time had passed when Lu Chongqing completely refined the Thunder Gangyan. Boom boom boom. At this moment, his physical body radiated brilliant light, emitting a terrifying pressure of blood and qi, with countless purple-red flames rolling out from his body, very terrifying. Thunder Gangyan. Unexpectedly, the Thunder Gangyan is such a perfect match with the Dragon Roar physique, and a perfect match for me. Now this Thunder Gangyan can be called Thunder Gang Dragon Flame. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, and within his ink-black pupils, 2 clusters of purple-golden flames rose and diffused, looking fierce and domineering. The diffuse purple-red flames in the cave mansion, under his control, transformed into a purple-red flood dragon, akin to a snake and dragon intertwined, coiling around his body and exuding a scorching and terrifying aura. Normally refining this Thunder Gangyan would never result in such power. But this Thunder Gangyan matched extremely well with the Dragon Roar physique. With a determined effort, he transformed this Thunder Gangyan into his personal spiritual fire. Now he not only perfectly controlled the Thunder Gangyan, but also slightly enhanced its power. Not only that, under the effect of the Thunder Gangyan and the Dragon Roar physique, my 100 refinements treasure body art also directly broke through to the 8th level, and my body refining reached the quasi-3rd order level. Now if I engage in close combat, relying on this Thunder Gang Dragon Flame, false core cultivators stand no chance against me. Lu Chongqing stretched his body, immediately causing crisp crackling sounds all over, while the surrounding flames gradually disappeared. Although he refined the Thunder Gangyan into his personal spiritual fire, it still consumed mana. To break through, I still need to rely on drawing lots and spiritual bodies. I wonder what other effects the flawless heavenly fragrance body has besides extending life, bewitchment, and speeding up cultivation. As another top-level spiritual body, the effect of the Dragon Roar physique is so astonishing. The flawless heavenly fragrance body should not be any less impressive. Lu Chongqing exhaled deeply, returning to his normal state, murmuring to himself. He thought about whether he could get more of this extremely young and rigid heavenly spiritual fire in the future, to set one up for his son, Lu Lingxiao, as well. After all, as his father he had already tested it, and the Dragon Roar physique was really useful, matching perfectly with the heavenly spiritual fire. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 865. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. Lu Chongqing walked out of his cave mansion feeling refreshed and realized he had been in closed-door cultivation for nearly 2 months. He took the ancient beast taming charm from Ling Zixio's hand, and the voice of Hong Lian echoed in his mind, bringing him news. The 9 Netherhound has advanced to the 2nd order? A look of joy appeared on Lu Chongqing's face. Although he no longer considered 2nd order strength as something significant, the wish to fly on the back of the 9 Netherhound had long since been shattered. But it was still 2nd order strength after all. An extra foundation establishment's spiritual pet to guard the home. Yes, young master. Inside the ancient beast taming charm, Hong Lian's voice sounded. Immediately after, Lu Chongqing walked out of Chongqing Hall and had her release the advanced 9 Netherhound from the ancient beast taming charm. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New 0. The ancient beast taming charm shimmered with colorful lights, and a shadowy light burst forth. It was indeed the 9 Netherhound. The 9 Netherhound's body was now enormous, standing about 3 meters tall. With a head like a wolf's, ferocious and terrifying, with vertical scarlet pupils between its brows, interlocking sharp fangs that were chillingly cold and intimidating beyond measure. Its body was covered in dense dark hair, but if one were to comb through the hair, they could see a layer of glossy black scales, hard and cold. Not bad, not bad. As Lu Chongqing sized up the 9 Netherhound before him, he stepped forward to stroke its fur, smiling. The dog before his eyes had been his first pet beast, who had accompanied him for so long. There were quite a few emotions there. Come, let me see just how strong you are. Lu Chongqing gestured to the 9 Netherhound before him with a curl of his finger, signaling it to make a move against him and test its power. A woo! The 9 Netherhound howled towards the sky, its body surging with demonic power, creating a fierce wind. This was not just a mere roar. It was a sonic attack, carrying a terrifying and ferocious force. Ordinary energy refining cultivators, or even demon beasts, would be shaken to their core at such a roar, bleeding from all orifices and trembling with fear. Continue. Lu Chongqing nodded, signaling the 9 Netherhound to keep going. Piffed. The 9 Netherhound immediately turned into a blur, pouncing towards Lu Chongqing with claws like daggers glinting with a cold light. Bang! Faced with such an onslaught, Lu Chongqing remained calm and still, raising his hand to meet it head-on. It's about at the middle stage of the second order in body refinement, he commented aloud. For a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast like the 9 Netherhound, even just having broken through to the second order, it already possessed strength surpassing that of an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. Roar! From between the crisscrossed fangs of the 9 Netherhound, black ripples pulsed, giving its teeth an unstoppable cold gleam. This was its strongest attack, capable of damaging even spiritual artifacts. S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing looked at the sharp fangs, his mouth twitching, and decided against experiencing a dog bite. He flicked his finger and sent a blade of sword chi towards the 9 Netherhound. In an instant, the 9 Netherhound's fur bristled like pine needles, exuding a dark luster that deflected 30% of the sword chi's strength. Then, like black metallic scales, it resisted and dissolved the sword chi, with only a few strands of fur drifting down. Very good. Lu Chongqing nodded in satisfaction. He was very pleased with the 9 Netherhound's strength, high attack power, high defense, and strong vitality. If it could advance further and awaken its bloodline supernatural powers, its strength would leap to another level. But seeing such demon beast strength, he couldn't help but think of Azure Phoenix Immortal's feat of fighting the 3 demon kings alone. Rumor had it that these 3 demon kings all possessed heavenly-grade bloodlines, with astonishing battle prowess. In comparison, this Azure Phoenix Immortal was indeed quite impressive. Even if the so-called solo combat included riding a third-order mount and bringing 500 Dao soldiers, his combat strength was unquestionable. Having been in the ancient beast taming charm for so long, let's let you out for a while. Lu Chongqing looked at the 9 Netherhound before him and pondered aloud. Even though his family had the Mount Sumeru Tree King as its defender, it was not practical to activate the Great Formation and rely on Mount Sumeru for every situation that arose. Therefore, it made sense to let the 9 Netherhound preside over the home openly. Next, Lu Chongqing informed Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoga about the 9 Netherhound's advancement to the Second Order. After consulting, the 3 decided the 9 Netherhound would become the clan guardian spirit beast of Bihu Mountain, with the current family head of the Lu family taking care of and managing it. In this way, when the family faced some issues, the family head would also have the capacity to solve and deal with them. There was no need to notify Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoga, or Ling Zixiao about everything. Then, Lu Chongqing called Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun over to inform them about the 9 Netherhound. Xiao He has grown so big? Xiao He has advanced to a second-order monster beast? Lu Miaoga and Ling Zixiao were all right, as they were aware of many aspects of Lu Changsheng's situation. Lu Miaoyun and Lu Yun, however, were quite surprised to see the second-order 9 Netherhound before them. After all, a second-order demon beast was equivalent to a foundation-building great cultivator. Even though Bihu Mountain now boasted Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoga, Ling Zixiao, and Bai Ling, 4 foundation establishment cultivators, the addition of a second-order demon beast was still astonishing. Especially since the second-order demon beast had once been an ordinary household dog in Qingzhou Mountain, playing with the children as a companion. Now to see the pet from those days advance to the second order was quite a surreal experience for them. Not even a match for a dog. Lu Yun had vague memories of the 9 Netherhound, having played with it as a child. Later on, as he grew older, his father had sent the 9 Netherhound to the mundane world as a guard dog, and he hadn't seen it since. He never imagined that, after so many years, he had only broken through to the 6th level of energy refinement, while the once big black dog had become a second-order spiritual beast. Father, I will surely take good care of Xiao He. Lu Yun immediately said respectfully. Xiao He is its nickname. Its big name is Joyo. Lu Chongqing felt constantly calling it Xiao He really lowered the prestige of the 9 Netherhound. After all, it was a heaven-ranked demon beast and now the openly recognized clan guardian spirit beast of his Lu family. Joyo good. Lu Yun nodded in agreement. He also felt the name Xiao He was too commonplace. Why, Xiao He, you like this name? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. He recognized Li Feiyu, but still followed protocol and did not open the gate immediately, instead going to notify the family head. Lu family mansion. That's wonderful. My Zhenjin is really amazing. Lu Chongsheng was with Chu Zhenjin and Bai Ling. Hearing that Chu Zhenjin had finished the refinement of the auspicious tree and begun proper refinement. As for Lu Miaohuan, since the abyssal ghoul blossom was a level more difficult, it would take much longer to refine. Just then, Lu Yun came to the outside of the hall to inform that Li Feiyu had arrived. Uncle Li. Lu Chongsheng was startled, then reacted with surprise and excitement. You mean Feiyu is here? Yes, it is indeed Li Feiyu, Uncle Li. Lu Yun nodded. He knew his father and Li Feiyu had a good relationship but was unclear on the specifics. Good. Lu Chongxing nodded in response, immediately transformed into an escape light and flew out from Baiyun Peak, heading to the mountain gate. He had been concerned about Li Feiyu's safety ever since the substitute talisman had transmitted a signal. Knowing now that Li Feiyu had returned safely filled him with joy. Mountain Master, Father. The guarding cultivators saw Lu Chongxing and immediately bowed in salute. Lu Chongxing nodded, opened the gate, and with a smile said to the heroic figure in a black brocade robe, Li Feiyu. Feiyu, you have finally returned. I encountered some unexpected events, which led to the delay. Li Feiyu said with some emotion. He certainly remembered the time frame he had promised before. So, after breaking through to Foundation establishment, he had settled his affairs in Azure Phoenix Immortal City and immediately hurried back. It seems the unexpected events worked out for the best. Congratulations on your breakthrough to Foundation establishment. Lu Chongxing, whose divine sense now surpassed most at the Foundation establishment peak, noticed at a glance that Li Feiyu had broken through Foundation establishment. Foundation establishment? The people nearby were astonished to hear this, looking at Li Feiyu with surprise. They had not expected that he was a foundation-building great cultivator. A look of respect instantly appeared in their eyes. It was just some luck, and actually, I owe a lot to you, Chongxing. Li Feiyu said earnestly. Oh, it's related to me? Lu Chongxing raised an eyebrow with interest. Let's go inside and talk. He didn't ask further and invited Li Feiyu into Bai Lake Mountain. This Bai Lake Mountain surrounded by hills and water really looks pretty good. As the two flew toward Baiyun Peak, Li Feiyu looked around at the scenery and commented. As a Foundation establishment cultivator, who had spent many years wandering the outside world, he had some discernment. He could see that the environment and spiritual energy of Bai Lake Mountain were exceptional. Ha ha ha, indeed it is quite nice. Lu Chongxing laughed loudly, introducing the situation of his home to his friend. That mountain up ahead is Baiyun Peak, the main vein of my Lu family. That one is called Ling Tsue Cliff, our family's spirit medicine garden, and over there lies Bai Shui Lake, where we breed aquatic life. You may have heard of the red blood carp and blue blood carp, but recently I bred some aquatic spiritual beasts. Chongxing, you are truly enjoying life, with the family being so well ordered. Li Feiyu said with emotion, admiring the surroundings. For the years he had been outside striving and cultivating, he sometimes considered whether to give it all up and settle down. Having a family spirit land of one's own and not drifting about is probably the ultimate dream for a loose cultivator. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 867. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. You've now broken through to Foundation establishment. If you wish, you can also seek out a spirit land and establish a family just like I did, Lu Chongxing said with a laugh. I'll think about that later, Li Feiyu said gently shaking his head. He thought the life was nice but he didn't entertain such notions, especially since he had just gained the opportunity to join the Azure Phoenix Guards under the Azure Phoenix Immortal. As long as he seized this chance, he hoped to break through to the middle stage and late stage of Foundation establishment in the future. All right, Bihu Mountain welcomes you any time, Lu Chongxing said without trying to persuade him further. He could tell that Li Feiyu's Dao heart was very firm. People like this usually didn't stop in their tracks to choose a comfortable life. The two of them arrived at Baiyun Peak. Uncle pays his respects to Li Feiyu. Lu Yun was waiting outside and immediately greeted Li Feiyu when he saw him. Although his memory was a bit fuzzy and he didn't quite recognize Li Feiyu, he could still identify him. "This is Lu Yun. Feiyu, you should remember him," Lu Chongqing said to Li Feiyu. "So it's Lu Yun. Time flies, he's grown so much," Li Feiyu said, realizing the other was the son of Miao Yun, the fourth elder of the Lu family. His expression revealed a hint of nostalgia. He hadn't gone home on this visit. Over 20 years had passed by now, and his own children were likely settled down. He took a bracelet from his storage bag and said, "Here, this is a gift from your Uncle Li." "Ha, Feiyu, there's no need to be polite. Otherwise, your storage bag may not be enough for all the gifts," Lu Chongqing teased with a smile. "Those who come first get first served," Li Feiyu said chuckling, and he let Lu Yun accept the bracelet. But Lu Yun didn't know if he should accept it. "Since it's a gift from your Uncle Li with all his heart, Yuner, you should take it," Lu Chongqing said when he saw his honest son hesitating. He never liked this kind of excessive formality. The two arrived at the Lu family mansion. Lu Chongqing briefly introduced Li Feiyu. Miaoyun, Chu Zhenzhen, and others were quite surprised when they saw Li Feiyu and learned that he had broken through to Foundation establishment. After all, in the Qingyun region, a Foundation establishment cultivator could be considered an ancestor of a domain. Li Feiyu, with a low-quality spiritual root who had been an idle son-in-law in Qingzhou Mountain for years, had somehow broken through to Foundation establishment upon his return. Especially Miaoyun. She came from Qingzhou Mountain and knew the difficulty of Foundation establishment. S.E.A. The Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. For many years, Qingzhou Mountain had only just managed to continue the lineage of Foundation establishment until the situation had recently improved. Who would have thought that among the immortal seedlings brought back by Uncle Yuan Ding, two Foundation establishment cultivators, Lu Chongqing and Li Feiyu, would emerge? If word got out, it would be nothing short of astonishing. Tesuke. Li Feiyu looked at the many women and children in his home, thinking that his good brother had truly not forgotten his beginnings and had always stayed constant. Thinking about how he fought for his life outside while Lu Chongqing lived such a life and broke through to Foundation establishment with ease. Even with his firm Dao heart, he couldn't help but feel envious. However, he was happy to see his good brother's life getting better and better. After a while, someone arranged for food and drinks, and the two went to the side hall to catch up and chat. "It's also a matter of fate and fortune," Li Feiyu said, holding his wine cup and recounting his experience. "That day, in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, I ran into an old nemesis who chased me and encountered a second-order monster beast blocking the way. Facing such a situation, it was like facing certain death, but thankfully, it was the talisman you gave me, Chongqing, that saved my life. Then, under the transportation of the talisman, I arrived deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. And guess what happened next?" Li Feiyu continued. Lu Chongqing was speechless. He had previously speculated that if Li Feiyu encountered danger in the Myriad Beasts mountain range, if the substitute talisman transported him deeper, that would be dangerous. He had not expected such a situation to actually occur. Could it be that you just happened to come across some cave mansion or secret realm, or perhaps some treasure? Lu Chongqing asked, raising an eyebrow. "Correct, but you definitely couldn't guess the situation at the time," Li Feiyu continued, taking a bite of his food. "Didn't you have a treasure map of an ancient relic site before? I was just transported right outside the relic marked on the treasure map." "Amazing," Lu Chongqing said after a moment of silence, uttering two words. Whether following the plot of a novel or as a character favored by luck in the cultivation world, Li Feiyu had indeed obtained a main character's template. He continued to ask, "Isn't that relic deep in the Myriad Beasts mountain range supposed to be dangerous?" The treasure map contained information on the relics, with many hidden dangers and challenges. It would not be simple for Li Feiyu, who was at the Qi refinement realm, to gain something from it. "No, I didn't explore that relic site. There, I happened to meet the Azure Phoenix Immortal," Li Feiyu said. "The Azure Phoenix Immortal? The #1 independent cultivator of Jiang Kingdom and the city lord of Azure Phoenix Immortal City?" Lu Chongqing exclaimed in surprise. "Yes, by providing information from the treasure map to the Azure Phoenix Immortal, I was granted this chance to break through to Foundation establishment." And the Azure Phoenix Immortal promised that if I broke through to Foundation establishment, I would be allowed to join the Azure Phoenix Guards, and if the breakthrough failed, I would be given a sum of spirit stones, Li Feiyu affirmed. After finishing, he got up, took out a storage bag with a serious expression, and said, Chongqing, my obtaining this opportunity is largely thanks to you. This is a little token of my gratitude. Lu Chongqing marveled at Li Feiyu's fortune and saw his friend suddenly act this way, immediately waving his hand and saying, Feiyu, you're being too formal. You've just broken through to Foundation establishment and need resources. There's no need for this. He had no interest in the ancient relic site from the treasure map. Seeing his friend obtain the opportunity for Foundation establishment through it, he was happy for him and felt it was worth it. Just accept it, Chongqing. Otherwise, I really can't be at peace, Li Feiyu insisted earnestly, placing the storage bag in front of Lu Chongqing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 868. The 9 Netherhound Breakthrough, Li Feiyu returns. _4 This spirit stone was obtained after he broke through to Foundation establishment and took revenge by killing Zhu He, then selling off his possessions for spirit stones. But he knew that compared to the opportunity he had obtained, these spirit stones were hardly worth mentioning. Okay. Lu Chongqing understood his friend's character and nodded in agreement. At that moment, he suddenly thought of the rumors about Azure Phoenix Immortal's injuries and asked aloud, Feiyu, I've heard Azure Phoenix Immortal was gravely injured. Is that true or false? Could the Immortal have been injured while exploring this ancient relic site? Lu Chongqing asked in such a manner. The news might be true, or it might be a deliberate release by Azure Phoenix Immortal City. SAR the Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I previously swore a heart demon oath not to speak of what is within the relic site. Li Feiyu spoke in a low voice. Azure Phoenix Immortal City deliberately released it. Lu Chongqing narrowed his eyes slightly, feeling that these words carried a more intriguing implication. He pondered and said, I remember Azure Phoenix Immortal isn't young anymore, right? Indeed, the City Lord was already famous 200 years ago. By now, he should be 300 to 400 years old. Therefore, there are rumors that the City Lord has reached the core formation peak long ago and has been out of the public eye for these years, all in pursuit of the nascent soul, Li Feiyu said with a touch of emotion. From a loose cultivator to his current status, aiming for the nascent soul, Azure Phoenix Immortal could be considered legendary. 300 to 400 years old. Lu Chongqing nodded. Once a nascent soul cultivator exceeds 350 years old, the probability of forming a nascent soul significantly decreases. If they exceed 400 years, there is essentially no hope of forming a nascent soul. Azure Phoenix Immortal's age makes it impossible to delay any longer, and it's likely that all his actions in recent years have been driven by the pursuit of the nascent soul. Attaining the nascent soul is not easy. Our Jiang country cultivation realm seems to only have the Heavenly Sword sect with a 4th order spirit vein. Lu Chongqing took a light sip of his drink and continued to speak. He had discussed this issue with Ling Zixiao and Xiaofan before. He knew that in the entire Jiang country, only the Heavenly Sword sect had a 4th order spirit vein capable of nurturing a nascent soul's foundation. Even Qingyun's sect, Wuxia sect, and Spirit Taming sect only had 3rd order top grade spirit veins. And certainly, the Heavenly Sword sect would not lend their spirit vein to Azure Phoenix Immortal for his breakthrough. That's right, even after so many years of cultivation, Azure Phoenix Immortal City's spirit vein is only a 3rd order superior grade, far from reaching the 4th order. Moreover, Azure Phoenix Immortal City, located near the Myriad Beasts mountain range and on the border of Jiang country and Yu country, is a place neither side wants the City Lord to succeed in forming a nascent soul. Li Feiyu shook his head and said. He had been won over by the various deeds and personal charisma of Azure Phoenix Immortal in his early years. Now that he had become a member of Azure Phoenix Immortal City and had contact with this legendary figure, he held even greater admiration. TSK. Lu Chongqing clicked his tongue in wonder, thinking to himself just how difficult it was to break through to the nascent soul. As a loose cultivator in Jiang country, break through to core formation is possible. But to break through to the nascent soul, without going to another country or seeking opportunities abroad, there was virtually no chance. In the future, forming his own nascent soul would also pose the same issue. However, this was still too far away. The matter of core formation hadn't even been decided upon yet. Feiyu, now that you've joined Azure Phoenix Immortal City, do you plan to return afterward? Lu Chongqing looked at Li Feiyu and asked. Yes, once I've settled my family situation back home, I'll go back, Li Feiyu said, his expression somewhat grave. Pursuing the Great Tao inevitably meant leaving behind many emotional ties. His return this time was intended to take care of all his family matters. Okay. Let me know when you're heading to Rui Prefecture. I'll go with you, Lu Chongqing nodded and said. The Lu family now also had a certain influence in Rui Prefecture. Moreover, his children were related by marriage to Li Feiyu's children, so it was the right time to visit. Li Feiyu nodded in response. Li Feiyu had stayed on by Lake Mountain for 3 days before he set out for Rui Prefecture with Lu Chongqing. Chu Zhanjin, having completed the ritual refinement of the auspicious tree, could not leave by Lake Mountain once she began to cultivate the heavenly longevity technique. Thus, accompanying them was also to prepare for a later visit to Zhoushan Mansion to pay homage to her parents. And as it happened, Lu Wangshu had heard about it and was curious to see what his secular family home was like. In this way, Lu Chongqing, along with his wife, children, and Li Feiyu, arrived in Rui Prefecture. The arrival of these individuals in Rui Prefecture caused no small stir for the Li family and Hong Yi. After all, Li Feiyu, who had been away for more than 20 years, had returned. Li Feiyu's wife and children were somewhat incredulous upon seeing him and hesitated to recognize him. Sigh. Lu Chongqing, seeing such a scene, sighed inwardly. In the face of such a situation, Li Feiyu simply entrusted his family to Lu Chongqing, hoping he would help take care of them in the future. He then left his father and brothers some elixir medicines, talisman scriptures, and a basic cultivation technique. Upon learning of Li Feiyu's breakthrough to foundation establishment, Hong Yi felt a mix of emotions. He thought back to the time when the 6 of them had taken the immortal sex assessment together, and now 4 had achieved foundation establishment. They had become lofty foundation-building great cultivators. Although Han Lin had not made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, he was nonetheless far superior to him in status, thanks to his artifact refining skills and his identity as an immortal sect disciple. If I had focused on cultivation instead of getting involved in the affairs of power, might I have had the hope of reaching foundation establishment? Hong Yi mused to himself. He suspected that Zhao Qingqing's breakthrough had something to do with Lu Chongqing. Now, after conversing and learning that Li Feiyu's foundation establishment owed much to Lu Chongqing, he couldn't help but think that with his relationship with Lu Chongqing, had he seriously cultivated earlier, perhaps foundation establishment would have been possible for him. But after some deliberation, he realized he simply did not possess Li Feiyu's determination to forsake everything for the sake of cultivation. Even now, at the 9th level, given a foundation establishment elixir, his chances of making that breakthrough were virtually nil. Black Cloud Mountain Range. Deep within a mining vein. Miss Lu, why bother? Although by Lake Mountain offers good terms, to my knowledge, you're hardly valued and your prospects for foundation establishment are slim. If you agree to cooperate with White Tiger Mountain, my Zhao family is willing to share 10% of the profits from this spirit stone mine with you. Furthermore, if you are willing to marry into my Zhao family, not only will you not lack for resources, but you will also get a share of foundation establishment spiritual objects in the future. The Zhao family elder tried to persuade Lu Rui, who was bound before him. He had not expected the matter with the mining vein to be detected so quickly by this young girl. She had stealthily infiltrated with the help of an invisibility talisman, and discovered the spirit stone mine concealed by a formation. Elder Zhao, if you release me now, I can overlook this incident as if it never happened. Otherwise, should anything happen to me, once my family learns of it and investigates, the Zhao family will not be able to escape responsibility. Lu Rui said coldly. Though she had an 8th grade spiritual root and her mother was a concubine, not garnering much attention in the family, at least she had a good family environment without any intrigue or sordid schemes. Chapter 869. White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge. Dragon Seeker. Rui County City. Li Feiyu had been settling family matters these days. Lu Chongqing, on the other hand, had been taking his wife and children on trips around the area. Just then, Lu Chongqing felt an inexplicable sensation surge through his heart. Given the previous situation with Li Feiyu, he could confirm that it was his substitute talisman being used. Who could it be? It doesn't seem like Pingon or Qingshan, Qingzhu? Lu Chongqing was puzzled in his heart. The sensation was very faint. Yet, he could somehow sense that this talisman use was not like before with Li Feiyu, originating from a distant place. Could it be Xianji, Rui, or Chuanjin who are in danger? He furrowed his brows, guessing in his heart. Currently, there were 14 Lu family disciples out handling family matters. Apart from Lu Pingon, Lu Qingshan, and Lu Qingzhu who were not around, the other Lu family disciples had not traveled far. They were just managing business and family affairs in the surrounding area. This was why there had never been any mishaps among the Lu family disciples. After pondering for a while, Lu Chongqing exhaled lightly and said, "Zhenjin, there is something at home, I need to go back." "Dear, what happened at home?" Chu Zhenjin immediately asked with concern. Just a small matter that needs to be handled," Lu Chongqing said softly. Hearing this, Chu Zhenjin did not continue to inquire further. Soon after, Lu Chongqing returned to the county city, informed Li Feiyu that he needed to go back due to some issues. "Chongqing, is there something wrong?" Li Feiyu, hearing that Lu Chongqing needed to return suddenly, immediately asked, "Do you remember the talisman I gave you? I refined it with my heart's blood, so I can sense it vaguely. Not long ago, I sensed that a talisman had been activated. It must be one of the children at home who is in danger." After a moment of contemplation, Lu Chongqing spoke. "I'll come with you. Maybe I can be of some help." Li Feiyu immediately offered. No need for such a big fuss. It might just be a robber cultivator threat." Lu Chongqing shook his head and chuckled. As he saw it, their children were only active around the area, and the only possibility was encountering a nomadic robber cultivator. However, considering the flaws of the substitute talisman, that being its erratic teleportation, should this child, like Li Feiyu, be transported to a dangerous place, it would then be troublesome. "It's fine. I've almost dealt with the situation here," Li Feiyu said. "All right, since that's the case, let's go back and check." Lu Chongqing, seeing this, nodded. He then took his wife and children and headed back to Blue Lake Mountain, Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wu Jing Mine Site. Besides the Zhao family disciples managing the operations here as cultivators, most of the miners were ordinary humans. However, to be a miner here, one needed to be skilled in the martial path. Otherwise, even with a magic artifact, it would be impossible to endure the intense workload day and night. Outside the mine, an elder in a purple robe, who felt something, hurried out of the room. He immediately saw an old man in his 50s, with gray hair and a tall stature, descending from a flying boat. He hurriedly stepped forward to greet him. "Ancestor, what brings you here?" This purple-robed elder was none other than the Zhao family ancestor from White Tiger Mountain. "Elder 9, what have you done?" "I asked you to be careful, and in such a short time, this girl has come to know about the Spirit Stone Mine?" The Zhao family ancestor spoke sternly, disappointed. This Spirit Stone Mine was not large, just a small vein. If mined with full effort, it could be exhausted in 3 to 5 years. So, he thought that even if it were mined for a year or two by the time it was discovered by the Blue Lake Mountain, it wouldn't matter. Yet, it had only been a few months since they began mining, and it had already been discovered by the other side. Moreover, the situation had become so stiff, which truly annoyed him. "Ancestor, please forgive me." Saw the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The purple-robed elder immediately bowed, his face showing a bitter expression. "I didn't expect that this girl would notice something was off and later enter the mine with a stealth talisman to investigate." "What about this girl now? Is she willing to cooperate?" The Zhao family ancestor asked coldly. "Ancestor, this girl is tough and unyielding. Why not use the demon-attracting fragrance and just throw her into the mountain range?" Demons often appear in this Black Cloud Mountain Range, and for a 6th-level energy refinement girl to die out there would be nothing unusual. Even if Blue Lake Mountain has suspicions, they couldn't possibly blame our family, could they? Moreover, I've inquired about it. Blue Lake Mountain relies solely on Lu Chongqing and his wives, and currently, they don't have many capable children. By the time Blue Lake Mountain arranges for someone else to come, who knows when it will be? By then, we would have almost mined this vein. The purple-robed elder spoke. In his view, although she was from the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, Lu Changsheng's daughter. Yet, with Lu Chongqing having 100 or 2 children, losing 1 or 2 would be unnoticed. Could they really cause a big stir and trouble their Zhao family for that? Lu Chongqing takes relationships very seriously. He values feelings greatly. When he established the Blue Lake Mountain, he spent thousands of spirit stones to bring his secular wives and children to Blue Lake Mountain and even held a wedding with his mortal wives. Even if this girl isn't valued, try your best not to let him suspect our Zhao family in this matter. The Zhao family ancestor's demeanor remained calm as he spoke coldly. He was eager to swallow this spirit stone mine, but if possible, he preferred not to provoke Blue Lake Mountain. After all, the couple of Blue Lake Mountain Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge both practiced the dual cultivation technique, making their combat strength extraordinary. They also had Ling Zixiao, an array master. Ancestor, since that's the case, we just need to pretend to let this girl escape and secretly have someone follow her. When she is on her way back to Blue Lake Mountain, disguise as a robber cultivator and eliminate her. By then, Blue Lake Mountain can't possibly blame our Zhao family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 870. White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge. Dragon Seeker. The purple-robed elder continued to speak. At his age, having spent so many years in the cultivation world, he naturally had carried out many such deeds. Or rather, it could be said that most cultivators who live to an old age possess some means. Just do as you said. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor pondered for a moment and then nodded. At that time, I will take action myself. Where is the girl? He continued, preparing to confirm the situation to ensure nothing goes wrong. Elder ancestor, right this way please. The purple-robed elder immediately spoke respectfully. A moment later, the two arrived at a damp and dark mine. Where is the person? I asked you, where is the person? The purple-robed elder looked at the emotionally blank puppet Lu Rui in the mine, his face twisted with rage, loudly questioning 2 Zhao family juniors. It was not only him. The Zhao family ancestor also had an extremely cold expression, his fists tightly clenched. Once Lu Rui had discovered the spirit stone mine, there was only a dead end for her. Even if she surrendered and married into their Zhao family, her future held only death. But now the person had disappeared, leaving only a puppet? Elder ancestor, elder, we truly do not know what happened. The 2 Zhao family juniors, terrified, trembled and knelt to beg for mercy. How could you handle things like this? He, Lu Chongqing, a talisman master by origin, his children surely would possess life-saving talismans. Could it be that you did not even know to search the body and check thoroughly? The Zhao family ancestor, looking at the purple-robed elder, spoke with a voice filled with murderous rage. With such an incident occurring, once Lu Rui returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, their Zhao family would be in danger. Had it not been for the fact that the man before him was his own brother, he would have wished to strike him down. Elder ancestor, I have already seized the girl's storage bag and checked her body. There absolutely were no magic artifacts, talismans, or treasures. The purple-robed elder hastily explained. He then, with bloodshot eyes, continued to question the 2 Zhao family juniors about what happened. The 2 Zhao family juniors also realized the gravity of the situation. Finally, with grimaces on their faces, they truthfully confessed that since Lu Rui had been unwilling to submit, they had planned to apply some means to force her compliance. Who could have expected that Lu Rui would suddenly emit a layer of white light from her body, and then transform into a wooden puppet? Faced with this situation, they also did not know what to do and were just discussing how to report this. Then the elder ancestor and the elder arrived. Useless trash, you truly deserve to die. Upon hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor was so enraged that he directly kicked the 2 men. The kick sent the 2 Zhao family juniors flying out, smashing hard against the mine's stone wall and spitting blood. Not only had the 2 caused such an issue, so the oval fire. net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But when a problem arose, they had not immediately reported it. Had he not personally come over, by the time the news meandered its way back to their family from the mine, Lu Chongqing might have already reached their White Tiger Mountain. By then, his family would surely be facing a dead end. Elder ancestor, what do we do now? The purple-robed elder, also looking distressed, inquired, unsure of what to do. What to do? You still have the face to ask me what to do? On hearing this, the Zhao family ancestor became angry again and kicked towards the purple-robed elder. Pointing at the ground at the puppet, he said, "This girl clearly escaped using a talisman. You couldn't even manage this properly and you've messed everything up. Why don't you just go die?" To be at such an age and still fail to properly search someone, allowing them to escape, it made the Zhao family ancestor tremble with rage. The purple-robed elder tried to argue and insisted that he really had conducted a thorough search. But at this moment, with the facts before his eyes, he knew that any explanation was pointless. He immediately clenched his teeth and said, "Elder ancestor, she must have left just a short while ago. Why don't you take me to Bihu Lake Mountain to ask for forgiveness?" Claiming that you did not know about this matter, that it had nothing to do with White Tiger Mountain, and that it was entirely my fault. The purple-robed elder thus spoke, knowing that only by doing this could he potentially diminish the gravity of the situation. This issue is not as simple as you think. Rumors from outside claim that Lu Chongqing is famously easygoing. Do you really think he is easy to provoke? How did Bihu Lake Mountain come about, and what happened to the Yu family in the end? This man has connections within Qing Yun's sect. Perhaps when the Yu family colluded with the demon path, it was all Lu Changsheng's deliberate scheme, utterly ruthless and thorough. Now that Bihu Lake Mountain has 3 foundation establishment cultivators and a Dao companion from Qing Yun's sect, with the family flourishing, just a couple more foundation establishment, and the family's spirit land would no longer suffice. Given this chance, how could he let this go and make it small? As the Zhao family ancestor spoke more, the more enraged and fearful he became. Never had he expected such a small matter to be bungled. He couldn't help but regret. Had he known this would happen, he might as well have disclosed the Spirit Stone mine matter himself. Given the current situation of Bihu Lake Mountain, his own family might have managed to gain some benefits. Elder ancestor, then what should we do? The purple-robed elder, upon hearing this, spoke with a mournful expression. He, of course, understood that from a son-in-law to his position today, Lu Changsheng's dealings in the dark were certainly not simple. Just establishing a family and acting as a family head, whether for himself or his family, he usually took great care of his reputation. In the early years, our White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge shared some fellowship. Though the Spirit Stone mine is not large, if we present it, it might be possible to persuade Golden Dragon Ridge to step in and help. After all, with Bihu Lake Mountain rising day by day, Golden Dragon Ridge would not want to see our family in trouble. The Zhao family ancestor said with an ugly expression. Golden Dragon Ridge and White Tiger Mountain's founding elders were sworn brothers. Thus, the two families had always supported each other and had a very good relationship. But 100 years ago, for some unknown reason, there was a huge fallout between the elders of the two families, cutting off their relations, and ever since, their relationship had cooled. Unexpectedly, the elder of Golden Dragon Ridge broke through to a false core. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 871. White Tiger Mountain and Golden Dragon Ridge. Dragon Seeker. From now on, Jinlong Ridge had a false core patriarch in residence, and its fortune soared. Meanwhile, White Tiger Mountain gradually fell into decline, the sun setting in the west, with only one foundation establishment cultivator and an old, second-rank clan guardian spirit beast. Jinlong Ridge. The purple-robed elder's face showed a touch of distress. Although the two families had been on good terms in the early years, the bonds of kinship had already faded. One could even say that if it weren't for the sake of these kinship ties and the fear of tarnishing their reputation, White Tiger Mountain would have already fallen into the hands of the Jinlong Ridge Jin family. But now, the Zhao family had no other choice but to seek help from Jinlong Ridge. Although White Tiger Mountain still had other allies, families that they were on good terms with, these family forces clearly would not want to antagonize by Lake Mountain. However, before that, You must immediately head to the paths around by Lake Mountain to see if you can intercept that girl. Then send people to Red Leaf Valley Market, Qingzhou Mountain, and 100 Birds Lake to intercept her together. If, as you said, this girl does not have a transmission talisman and cannot send a message to Bai Lake Mountain for help, we still have a chance. Zhao family ancestor continued. Yes, ancestor, I'll go right away. The purple-robed elder, as if seeing a glimmer of hope, promptly responded. A desolate mountain wilderness. The talisman my father gave us is so extraordinary. Lu Rui, after a dizzy spell, took a long time to recover her senses, and found it somewhat unbelievable. She had been bound, her spiritual power completely restrained, unable to be utilized. Yet she had still managed to activate the talisman through her mental spirit. Where am I? Lu Rui surveyed her surroundings, recognizing only a desolate wilderness, but unsure of her exact location. I should have used the talisman my father gave me to escape immediately. If I had the Iron Feather Eagle and a map now, I would know where I am and could quickly return home to inform my father. She bit her lip, regretting her handling of the situation when faced with danger. She had completely forgotten about the life-saving talisman her father had given her, failing to escape immediately. This led to her storage bag and spiritual pet bag being taken, making the journey back to Bai Lake Mountain rather troublesome. My family said, being away from home is very dangerous. All the cultivators you meet could potentially turn into robber cultivators. And the place I am now might have demon beasts lurking, which would be extremely dangerous. At this moment, Lu Rui began to cautiously contemplate how she could safely return home. Now she had no magic artifacts, no talismans. Merely at the 6th level of energy refinement, having only cultivated a few basic techniques, her combat ability was among the weakest of her peers. By Lake Mountain. After returning to the family, Lu Chongqing immediately had his son Lu Yun check the status of the Lu family disciples currently outside to identify which child had encountered an accident. Lu Yun was still unaware of the incident with Lu Rui, but on his father's orders, he didn't ask questions and went straight to verify. Lu Chongqing then waited at home for news. Congratulations, host. Your progeny has successfully borne 200 descendants. You have earned 1 raffle opportunity. At that moment, a system notification sounded in Lu Changsheng's mind. 200. Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrows. His 200th child, also, was about to be born. But unexpectedly, the number of his grandchildren had stepped up faster, surpassing his own. CTH Novelfire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This is the power of having many people. Lu Chongqing exhaled softly, murmuring to himself. He could faintly feel that this grandchild also had a spiritual root. But the spiritual root was probably of low quality, which for him, possessing a first-grade spiritual root, was of minimal effect. System draw. Lu Chongqing thought silently in his mind. Immediately, the raffle wheel appeared, glowing golden. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2nd-rank dragon-seeking technique. The reward has been sent to System Space. The host can check at any time. A light sphere, resembling the pattern of earth veins, emerged from the spinning wheel, accompanied by the system's voice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 872. Accusing White Tiger Mountain. Something's off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Dragon seeking? A dragon seeker? Lu Chongqing saw this skill and his face immediately showed a mix of surprise and delight. He had heard a thing or two about this craft before. Later, from Hong Lian, he learned in detail that a dragon seeker possessed the abilities to survey spirit veins, explore mines, pinpoint dragon acupoints, and cultivate spirit veins. At that time, he had thought if he could draw a feng shui master or dragon-seeking skill, there would be a way to accelerate the upgrading of the family spirit vein. He hadn't expected the system to grant him a 2nd-order dragon-seeking so quickly. Unfortunately, it's only a 2nd order. I wonder to what extent this 2nd-order dragon seeker can perform? Lu Chongqing commented somewhat regretfully. With his current eye for talent, a 2nd-order skill was already somewhat beneath his notice. He looked at the 2nd-order dragon-seeking technique in the system space. 2nd-order dragon-seeking technique. After use, you can directly acquire second-order full-level dragon-seeking technique and basic technique knowledge. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron 0.0. Activate. Lu Chongqing said without any hesitation. In an instant, a vast torrent of knowledge surged into his mind. After a long time, dragon acupoints pinpointing, spirit vein surveying, so the primary methods of a dragon seeker rely on divine perception and a pair of eyes. No wonder such inheritances are rare and not famous anywhere. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, his expression slightly enlightened, having grasped the various methods of a dragon seeker. CTH Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A dragon seeker, through divine perception and pupil techniques, senses spirit veins, pierces through illusions, penetrates to the origin, and locates spirit veins and spirit origin. The method spoken of by Hong Lian, which involved severing the spirit veins' origin, was also included. Such techniques were profoundly mysterious and somewhat similar to a spiritual plant master's transplantation technique but were much more difficult. A mistake in severing spirit veins could mean the destruction of a spirit vein. Even if the severing succeeded, the process would still incur severe degradation. For example, a complete second-order top-grade spiritual vein might lose half of its origin after being severed. It was precisely for such reasons that there were hardly any dragon seekers daring to cultivate these methods. After all, who had the capital to practice on spirit veins? However, aside from these severing methods, there were several techniques in Lu Changsheng's mind to nurture spirit veins, which could accelerate the growth of spirit veins. Origin Spirit Divine Perception. Origin Spirit Pupil Skill. Lu Chongqing experienced the two main techniques of a dragon seeker. Although he had acquired full-level skills, these two techniques could not simply be understood through contemplation. They required cultivation, the consumption of heavenly and earthly treasures, and continual strengthening of one's divine perception and eyes. Only in this way could one sense through divine perception the presence of spirit veins and spirit ores within the landscapes and mountains. And then, through the pupil skill, locate the exact position of the spirit vein and discern its origin. I'll pass on the origin spirit divine perception since I'm not really going to become a dragon seeker, but I might cultivate this origin spirit pupil skill. In my home, there is a luminous treasure tree whose essence can be used to cleanse the eyes, enhancing the spiritual eye technique. Moreover, Miaoyan has sacrificed the luminous treasure tree as her life-bound spiritual root, allowing me to dual cultivate with her, clear-sighted and bright-eyed, which makes cultivating such a pupil technique twice as effective. Lu Chongqing pondered. He had only previously cultivated the most basic spiritual eye technique. Later, Hong Lian provided a stack of cultivation technique inheritances, among which was a decent pupil skill. Considering his own comprehension abilities, it was too time-consuming, and since that pupil skill was more combat-oriented, he had not cultivated it. Now this origin spirit pupil skill came with the ability to pierce through illusions and discern origins, and required no time for contemplation, which he thought might be worth cultivating. By the time the pupil skill reached a small achievement, he could even venture out to search for spirit veins to upgrade Bihu Lake Mountain. After all, the current spirit veins of Bihu Lake Mountain were indeed insufficient. Whether it was for the foundation establishment of the children at home, the cultivation of heaven and earth spiritual plants, or his own core formation, higher-level spirit veins were necessary. 3 days later. Lu family mansion. Father, it's Rui's sister who has disappeared. I investigated and learned that Rui's sister's last known location was at Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing mine site. This mine is currently being exploited jointly by our family and the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. I questioned the Zhao family members, who confirmed Rui's sister did indeed visit the Wujing mine site a short time ago to inspect the ore stone extraction, but left afterward. I've searched through the Red Leaf Valley Market and Black Cloud Mountain Range using her identity token, but there has been no response from Rui's sister's identity token. Lu Yun reported respectfully to Lu Chongqing. Rui, Black Cloud Mountain Range, Wujing mine site, White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, his face displaying a contemplative expression. It had been 6 days since the substitute talisman was used, and through the family records, he could confirm his daughter was still alive. But no news for 6 days, no homecoming, and no response from the identity token suggested that his daughter's storage bag was likely stolen. Why would the storage bag be taken if she had used a substitute talisman to escape? That means, it's highly likely that Rui was first robbed of her storage bag before escaping using the substitute talisman. A hint of coldness flickered in Lu Changsheng's eyes. Chongqing, this matter is probably related to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Li Feiyu, standing by his side, spoke up directly, his expression showing a hint of murderous intent. Although he had no proof. But given the current information, he instantly concluded that Lu Rui was harmed by someone familiar. Yunar, have the family members avoid going out. It'll bring Rui back. Lu Chongqing spoke calmly. His daughter's final destination was the Black Cloud Mountain Range, so he naturally suspected the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain. Despite not understanding why the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain would target Lu Rui, as long as he brought his daughter back, everything would become crystal clear. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 873. Holding White Tiger Mountain accountable. Something's off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Father, do you know where Sister Rui is? Lu Yun asked, somewhat surprised. I have my ways. Lu Chongqing said softly, nodding his head. He then returned to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, into the talisman room, holding a talisman brush. He took out a third-rank talisman paper and began crafting a talisman. He possessed the 99 mystical talisman scripture, which encompassed a wide array of techniques. Among them was a talisman called Blood Tracking Talisman. The user could use their own blood to make the talisman direct them to the person connected by blood. 3 hours later, the talisman table surged with mana, erupting in a burst of blood-colored spiritual light. Then the light receded, leaving only a mysterious and complex rune flowing slowly. Phew! Finally it's done. Lu Chongqing exhaled a long breath, picked up the talisman, and walked out of the talisman room. Lord Chongqing. Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge had also learned of Lu Rui's situation and came forward to express their concern. This was the first time Bihu Lake Mountain had encountered such an incident, and they had to attach great importance to it. This talisman is called Blood Tracking Talisman. It can find Rui's location by using our bloodline as a guide. Lu Chongqing showed a hint of a smile when he saw the two women. Then, walking out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, in front of the two women, he smeared his own blood onto the talisman to activate it. Buzz, buzz, buzz. However, as soon as the talisman was activated, it started swirling around on its own. One moment it pointed towards Bihu Lake Mountain, the next towards Rui Prefecture. This? Lu Chongqing was somewhat speechless at the sight. He thought to himself, what kind of trash talisman is this to be ranked as third rank? It's not at all sensitive. Cough, cough. He coughed lightly to cover his embarrassment, then went to Bai Yun Peak to find Lu Rui's mother and smeared a drop of her blood on the talisman. Suddenly, the blood-tracking talisman was suffused with a faint spiritual light, indicating a direction. I can go by myself. Lu Chongqing told Lu Miaoge, Li Feiyu, and others. After that, he rode a purple flying shuttle, following the guidance of the blood-tracking talisman, left Bihu Lake Mountain to search for his daughter, Lu Rui. In a desolate wilderness. Huff, huff, huff. Lu Rui, seeing that the bear demon had not pursued her, immediately sat down to rest against a large tree, taking deep breaths to recover. These few days of wilderness survival had given her a profound understanding of the difficulties normal cultivators faced. Before this, she knew her brothers and sisters had better conditions than most loose cultivators. But she never imagined that without magic artifacts, elixir medicines, talismans, and spirit stones, surviving alone was so difficult. At first, when she encountered a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, she relied on her 6th-level energy refinement cultivation to kill it. But after killing it, she realized a problem. She now had no spirit stones or elixir medicines, and restoring spiritual power was very slow and troublesome. In the following times, she did her best to avoid confrontation, fearing that her spiritual power would be depleted and attract other demon beasts. For food and drink, she only dared to pick some wild fruits she recognized and quietly hunted a few wild animals to make do. The family token is gone too. I wonder if my family can find me. Lu Rui looked around at the lush foliage and towering ancient trees, her lips tightly pursed, feeling powerless. Through these days, she realized that she was still in the Black Cloud Mountain Range. Although Black Cloud Mountain Range was not particularly dangerous, her current condition made it very difficult to escape. Especially now that the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain was surely searching for her. If she had a storage bag with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, she could ride the Iron Feather Eagle back home or send a message and wait for rescue. After all, with a magic artifact or talisman at hand, not to mention a first-grade, early-stage demon beast, even if she encountered a late phase of first-order demon beast, she would have some confidence. But without magic artifacts, talismans, spirit stones, or elixir medicines, she was truly at a loss. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Just then, she heard the sound of the wind rustling through the grass from afar. Sir the novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Rui immediately tensed up, held her breath, and concealed her aura, staying still. In earlier years, she had learned wilderness survival knowledge at Qingzhou Mountain and Bihu Lake Mountain. But all that had been theory, and she had never truly experienced it. The night before last, she was nearly killed by a demon beast that had approached while she was resting. Thankfully, the auto-defense of her vestment robe narrowly saved her life, making her apprehensive and constantly vigilant. Phew! After a while, when Lu Rui saw no danger, she let out a sigh of relief and found a cave to rest in. Huff, huff, huff! Not long after, she suddenly heard noises outside, with the sound of eagle cries and birds chirping, so she quickly hid. Rui! Just then, she heard a familiar voice calling, Daddy! Upon hearing this voice, Lu Rui felt as if she was dreaming, thinking she was hallucinating. These days, she had thought countless times about her father or someone from home coming to rescue her. But she knew, with her storage bag taken away and without the family identity token, her family had no means to find her. But the next moment, she saw a figure tall and slim, dressed in a cyan magical robe, with handsome features and gentle eyes filled with concern, appear at the entrance of the cave. Rui! Lu Changsheng's eyes immediately revealed tenderness as he saw his daughter's condition. He knew that she must have suffered a great deal during these days. Daddy, woo woo woo! Lu Rui finally snapped out of her daze, knowing that her father had truly come for her. She rushed into Lu Changsheng's arms, hugging him tightly and crying in his embrace, her voice filled with grievance. All the fear and suffering of these days burst forth at that moment. She was not one to be timid or helpless. Otherwise, she wouldn't have volunteered to manage affairs outside, handling the family's business cooperation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 874. Confronting White Tiger Mountain, the suspicious Spirit Stone Mine. But for so many years, she had never been subjected to such humiliation, nor experienced such frightening and precarious a life. Don't cry, it's all right, Daddy's here. Lu Chongqing saw his daughter's tear-stained face and felt a pang of heartache, voicing comfort. He had always been soft-hearted, unable to bear seeing women in tears, especially when it was his own daughter. Although he hadn't paid much attention to his daughter, Lu Rui, in recent years, he had been very affectionate towards her in her early years. After all, she was the third child of his to possess a spiritual root, following Lu Xianji and Lu Chuanjun. After a moment, Lu Rui finally dried her tears and with reddened eyes, said apologetically, Daddy, I'm useless, I've made you worry. It's okay, as long as you are unharmed. Lu Chongqing gently wiped the tears from his daughter's eyes and asked gently, Rui, what happened? His voice was calm and gentle, but a wave of anger was rising in his heart. For so many years, it was the first time he saw one of his children being bullied to such an extent. If it weren't for the substitute talisman he had given her, and the blood-tracking talisman, she would have already lost her life. It was White Tiger Mountain. Lu Rui spoke with a choked and aggrieved voice, recounting the incident. She had previously noticed during the audit of the Wu Jing mine site that there were more miners than before, but the output had not increased. Furthermore, 2 direct lineage descendants of the Zhao family had been consistently courting her, prompting her to be more cautious. Then, using a stealth talisman, she sneaked into the mine to investigate. The result was that she alerted the Zhao family's descendants, who had already set up a formation that trapped her. At that time I forgot about the life-saving talisman you gave me, and then... Lu Rui said in a quiet voice, her head bowed. She knew that if she hadn't acted so impulsively, and had either reported the matter to the family or activated the substitute talisman immediately, she could have escaped safely. It's fine, let Daddy handle this matter. Lu Chongqing hugged his daughter and comforted her softly, without blaming her. After all, it was impossible for all his children to be exceptionally talented. Besides, the children at home still lacked the tempering needed in crises and their responses to them. But through his daughter's words, he understood why the Zhao family had moved against her. S.E. The novel, F. Ire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Wealth seduces the heart. Even a small spirit vein of a spirit stone mine could produce tens of thousands of spirit stones. For a foundation establishment family like the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain, tens of thousands of spirit stones wasn't a small sum. Enough to drive them to take risks. If it hadn't been for the substitute talisman given to his children, which allowed him to find his daughter, he could only have suspected White Tiger Mountain at most. Following the practices of Qingzhou Mountain in the past, in such a situation, if there was only suspicion without evidence, he would probably only be able to keep it in his heart and at most demand some compensation. My Blue Lake Mountain Lu family is different from other families. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, murmuring to himself. He lowered his head to look at his daughter and said softly, "Come on, let's go home first." Then, holding his daughter's hand, mana surged around him, forming a protective shield as he mounted the purple cloud shuttle and shot into the sky, turning into a streak of light that disappeared into the horizon. If a regular foundation establishment cultivator were to carry an energy-refining cultivator such a distance, the mana consumption would be significant. But with the profound origin bead, his mana was comparable to a false core, and he no longer had to consider such issues. A day later, Lu Chongqing brought his daughter back to Blue Lake Mountain. Father, Sister Rui. Husband, Rui. Lu Yun, Lu Miaoyun, and others were surprised to see Lu Chongqing return with Lu Rui so soon. Chongqing, what happened? Li Feiyu, upon hearing of Lu Changsheng's return, came to inquire. White Tiger Mountain Zhao family. Lu Chongqing said calmly. Indeed. Li Feiyu snorted coldly. Chongqing, since that's the case, let's go directly to the Wu Jing mine site to confirm the situation, and then we'll head to the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain to demand an explanation. His breakthrough in foundation establishment, even though he had given Lu Chongqing 10,000 spirit stones, still left him feeling indebted and wanting to help out Lu Chongqing. Lu Rui by his side was somewhat astonished. She did not recognize the somewhat familiar middle-aged man, who appeared so domineering. Before her father even spoke, the man was ready to go to White Tiger Mountain Zhao family for accountability. Thinking of her father's and Auntie Maiage's track record, she felt very assured. After all, the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain only had one foundation-building great cultivator, although there were rumors of a second-rank White Tiger demon. But no matter what, they were no match for her family. All right, let's do that. Lu Chongqing nodded. Seeing that Lu Rui did not recognize Li Feiyu, he smiled and introduced. Hee, Rui, don't you recognize him? This is your Uncle Li. He even held you when you were little. Uncle Li. Lu Rui remembered him, a little surprised, and quickly performed the formalities, surveying this Uncle Li. Hee, little Rui is all grown up now. Li Feiyu laughed heartily. Yuner, go call all the Lu family disciples above the 5th layer of energy refining. Lu Chongqing said after a moment's thought. His family just happened to lack a spirit land, spirit vein. Since the Zhao family of White Tiger Mountain insisted on clashing, he naturally would not be polite. And the children at home also lacked experience. They had not seen big events, so this trip could be an opportunity for them to witness and learn. Yes, father. Lu Yun responded immediately upon hearing this. Oh, and you can bring Joyo along. Lu Chongqing added. After he finished, he asked Li Feiyu to wait for a bit, went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and called for Lu Miaoge. Lord, I have recovered, and Miaoge can oversee the home just as well. Ling Zixiao, discerning Lu Changsheng's intentions, said so. As an array master, she was more suited to attack family spirit lands. Otherwise, It would not be easy for Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge alone to breach the mountain protection array of White Tiger Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 875. Accusing White Tiger Mountain. Something's off with the Spirit Stone Mine. Under 4-inch Hehe. Feiyu will go there too, and Joyo that should be enough. Lu Chongqing held Ling Zixiu's palm and spoke gently. Zixiao, you just gave birth not long ago, take good care of yourself at home. My lord, I remember that the Zhao family from White Tiger Mountain and the Mo family from Ironwood Mountain, and the Ning family from Shi Mountain are on good terms. If my lord plans to take over White Tiger Mountain, try not to make it too ugly with these two families. Ling Zixiao didn't insist. Holding her son Lu Lingxiao, she nodded and spoke softly. She knew the current situation at Bai Lake Mountain. Including her, Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge, Bai Ling, as well as the Mount Sumeru Tree King, Luminous Treasure Tree, and Abyssal Ghoul Blossom, they actually already reached the limit. It was really necessary for the family to establish a branch. But with the current situation of the Lu family, once a branch was established, it would be difficult to look after it properly, and it was essential to maintain good relations with the surrounding area. Zixiao, don't worry, I understand this, Lu Chongqing said with a light chuckle. However, the main problem lies with the Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. This Jinlong Ridge is adjacent to White Tiger Mountain. The family has a false core patriarch in residence, and it is currently in a period of ascension. They definitely do not want to see our family settling in White Tiger Mountain, so my lord must be very careful. Ling Zixiao gently poked her son's cheek and continued speaking. Although she didn't pay much attention to the internal affairs of the family, she was very familiar with the surrounding situation in the Qingyun region. Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. Lu Chongqing frowned slightly. He naturally knew of this family. Currently, in the Qingyun region, the largest family belonged to the beast-taming Su family. Apart from the beast-taming Su family, there were 7 false core families. Sir the Novelfire, NE*T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, one of the original 7 false core families, the Xiaofan family from Blackwater Pool, was obliterated and struck off by Qingyun's sect for colluding with the demon path, leaving only 6 false core families. Jinlong Ridge was one of them. He had actually forgotten about this Jin family at Jinlong Ridge. Being neighbors with them could indeed be troublesome. Although he was not afraid of the Jin family, even confident that he could crush the opposing family's patriarch. But after all, he had a family to care for, with hundreds of vulnerable members. Unless absolutely necessary, he was unwilling to display excessively remarkable abilities in public. This could easily make him the target of high-rank cultivators' attention. All right, I'll be careful about Jinlong Ridge. Lu Chongqing nodded and said, since that's the case, Sister Miaoge, let's go. Zixiao, it's a hard task to look after the home. After speaking, he saw Bai Ling next to him, holding his daughter, with her big watery eyes looking at him. He immediately rubbed her head and said, oh, and little Linger, it's hard on you to take care of the home too. If Sister Ling can't handle it, the home will rely on you. Lu Chongqing spoke in a warm voice. Although Bai Ling had broken through to Foundation Establishment, he never really treated her as a Foundation Establishment great cultivator, but rather as a half-daughter. Bai Ling immediately nodded vigorously in response. In her arms, Lu Lingyi also stretched out 2 chubby and tender little hands, babbling. Then, Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge arrived at the Lu family mansion, taking Li Feiyu and 19 middle-stage Qi refinement children, piloting the spirit boat toward the Black Cloud Mountain range. This number of people perfectly fit on 2 spirit boats. Having experienced the spiritual vessels of Qingyun's sect and Jinyang sect, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but fantasize at this moment about when his own family would own a large spiritual vessel. Not to mention the familial wars, arriving in a spiritual vessel simply screams oppression. I wonder if the system could draw a large spiritual vessel. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. This kind of spiritual vessel was a strategic-level resource, not only expensive but normally impossible to buy without any purchasing channels. At this moment, several dozen miles away from Bai Lake Mountain, Two disguised cultivators from the Zhao family saw two spirit boats sweeping across the sky at high speed, and their expressions suddenly shocked. They couldn't make out the situation on the spirit boats, but they could see a rough estimate. Judging by the personnel on top and the direction toward Black Cloud Mountain Range, it was very likely that they were people from By Lake Mountain. They immediately transmitted messages to notify their family. A day later, the two spirit boats stopped outside the Wujing mine site in the Black Cloud Mountain Range. Lu Chongxing, Lu Miaoge, and Li Feiyu at this moment all realized something was off. Because at this moment, they smelled a thick scent of blood. What's going on? Lu Chongxing stepped off the spirit boat, came to the mining site, and immediately noticed corpses everywhere, the ground awash with blood, forming pools of it. These people must not have been dead long. It seems the Zhao family was aware of our arrival and killed all the miners here in advance. Li Feiyu looked at the bodies with a frigid expression on his face. During their conversation, the two entered the mine to check out the situation. Inside, they occasionally came across yet more corpses. The entire mine had originally had hundreds of miners. But now, all were slaughtered, not a single survivor. The Zhao family is really decisive. In this case, not only were they aware of our arrival, but they must have also sought outside help. Otherwise, this massacre would have been pointless. Li Feiyu looked at the situation before him and said coldly, "While the cultivation world officially values reputation and semblance, in reality, it's strength that does the talking. White Tiger Mountain has only one foundation establishment ancestor. Offending by Lake Mountain is akin to seeking death. This act was intended to seize moral high ground. Only with such a guise would others be willing to offer help. Could it be the Jin family from Jinlong Ridge?" Lu Chongxing raised his eyebrows as he spoke. Although By Lake Mountain was nominally governed by only 3 foundation establishment cultivators, its reputation far exceeded its power, and no ordinary foundation establishment family would be willing to offend it for the sake of White Tiger Mountain. Very likely. Li Feiyu furrowed his brows. If this matter involved a false core family, it would be troublesome. After all, a false core immortal was indeed an immortal, incomparable to mere foundation establishment cultivators. Is this the Spirit Stone Mine? At this moment, Lu Chongxing walked to the end of the mine tunnel. He could see the Spirit Stone Mine gleaming before him, already excavated. He looked at the Spirit Stone Mine before him, his brows slightly furrowed, sensing that something was off. As a second-tier top-level dragon seeker, although he had not yet trained in Origin Spirit Divine Perception or Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, his dragon seeker's intuition and knowledge told him something was off about this Spirit Stone Mine. How could such a small-scale Spirit Stone Mine have developed deep within this mine? Origin Spirit Pupillary Art. Lu Chongxing immediately used his Origin Spirit Pupillary Art, emitting 2 purple rays from his eyes and inspecting the Spirit Stone Mine. What's up with Chongxing? Li Feiyu looked at Lu Chongxing as he employed the pupillary art, staring at the Spirit Stone Mine, slightly stunned. There's something off about this Spirit Stone Mine. Lu Chongxing's face showed a moment of deep thought. His Origin Spirit Pupillary Art was still not well developed, and even when using the technique, its power was limited, only allowing him to detect a very pure and rich concentration of spiritual energy. Right, how could I forget this? Lu Chongxing slapped his spiritual pet bag, and immediately a large golden mouse appeared. It was the very second-ranking treasure-seeking mouse he had acquired from a robber cultivator when he and Ling Zixiao left Jiuxiao Immortal City. This treasure-seeking mouse was not much use to him, so it had been kept unsupervised in his spiritual pet bag. A treasure-seeking mouse? Li Feiyu saw the golden mouse, instantly surprised. In Qinghuan Immortal City, such treasure-seeking mice were highly sought after. Many loose cultivators wanted one. After all, whether for exploring cave mansion relics or anything else, having such a treasure-seeking mouse made the task much more efficient. Is there any treasure inside? Lu Chongxing, holding a beast control token, spoke to the mouse. Since following Lu Chongxing, the mouse had been fed sporadically, looking somewhat listless. Now hearing Lu Chongxing's words, it immediately started to make an effort, pointing at the area in front of the Spirit Stone Mine, then starting to dig. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 876. Core Formation Relic, Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Crack, crack. Lu Chongsheng and Li Feiyu watched as the Seeking Spirit Mouse in front of them dug into the Spirit Stone mine. Although the Seeking Spirit Mouse was only the size of a baby, with low combat power, its innate bloodline talent made it very efficient at mining stone veins. However, Lu Chongsheng was currently busy with other matters and naturally would not wait for it to dig slowly. Clang! With a slap on his storage bag, the true Yang 5-element sword immediately appeared as he performed a gesture incantation with both hands. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Instantly, the sword light flickered, bursting forth with fierce sword chi, cutting through the vein of spirit stones like tofu and causing the dense and pure spiritual energy to spill out. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Watching the fierce sword chi, the Seeking Spirit Mouse was immediately terrified and looked at Lu Chongxing with a shivering face, thinking it had done something wrong. Hiss. Chongxing must have broken through to the Foundation establishment mid-stage, right? Seeing this, Li Feiyu's face also showed surprise and disbelief. Not only was he astonished by Lu Changsheng's cultivation strength, but he was also amazed at how fierce Lu Changsheng's sword chi was, resembling the legendary sword cultivators. After all, in his view, his good brother had nothing to do with the legendary sword cultivators and was more suitable for the path of yin and yang dual cultivation. Chongsheng, what happened? Just then, Lu Miaoge heard the noise inside and hurried over to check. Nothing. This spirit stone mine is a bit strange. There must be some treasure in the depths. I plan to take a look. Lu Chongxing explained. Sister Miaoge, just keep watch outside. S.E. the novel. F. Ire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Okay, be careful. Lu Miaoge nodded in response. Seeing so many corpses in the minefield, she felt a bit of sympathy and summoned her life-bound spiritual artifact, Tai Chi Talisman, to create several large pits outside the minefield. Then she let Lu Yun, Lu Chuanjin, Lu Xianji, and others carry these corpses into the pits for burial. Aside from Lu Chuanjin and a few other Lu family disciples, most found it quite unsettling facing so many ferocious and tragic corpses at once. But they all knew that they had to adapt since this was an inevitable path they must traverse upon the start of their cultivation journey. Which direction? Lu Chongxing asked the Seeking Spirit Mouse, continuing his inquiry. He could sense something was odd about this spirit stone mine, with possibly some spirit vein treasure hidden in the depths. But he could not fully perceive the origin source or lock onto the specific location. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The Seeking Spirit Mouse quickly pointed in a direction. This way, the 2 men and 1 mouse began to work. After several hours, the Seeking Spirit Mouse hesitated for a long while in front of a few crevices before diving into one. Seeing this, Lu Chongxing and Li Feiyu wielded magical swords and long knives to chisel a path. This process was very draining on mana. If not for Lu Changsheng's robust and unending mana, or if Li Feiyu had been doing it alone, it would have been tough to continue. Thus, after a long time, they arrived in front of a stone wall. It's inside here. At that moment, Lu Chongxing realized that the source was within this stone wall. He slashed fiercely with a true Yang 5-element sword in his hand. Boom, boom, boom. The spirit vein shook, and countless rocks and dust splattered, striking the mana shields protecting him and Li Feiyu. Suddenly, a natural rock cave over 10 zhong in size appeared in front of them. Though the cave seemed naturally formed, it was apparent that it had been artificially excavated. Luminous pearls that had lost their luster were placed in each corner, and there was a stone table and chairs covered in moss. It looked like a cultivator's cave mansion. At that instant, a rich wave of spiritual energy struck them from within the cave. This spiritual energy. Could it be? Lu Chongxing gazed at the cave mansion before him, pausing for a moment as he vaguely guessed. Be careful, Chongxing. Li Feiyu, realizing that this was a predecessor's cave mansion, immediately warned. He had explored many ancient remains and cave mansions and was well aware that such places didn't always signify good fortune. Many cultivators with corrupt hearts, on the brink of passing away, or those who lost control in their cultivation and fell into demonic ways, would set traps and killing formations in their cave mansions out of a malicious wish that since they could not achieve the great Tao, neither should others who come after. There were even cultivators who purposefully created treasure maps to bait others with the promise of their cave mansion's treasures. Thus, Many who explored these relics full of joy ended up meeting tragic fates. Okay. Lu Chongqing nodded and said to the seeking spirit mouse, "Hurry up." He then slapped his storage bag, summoning a puppet, and followed the seeking spirit mouse into the cave. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The seeking spirit mouse was naturally very alert to danger, and after looking around, it entered a stone chamber inside the cave. Lu Chongqing immediately controlled the puppet to push open the stone door, and a mist-like spiritual energy raged out. The seeking spirit mouse immediately rushed in, followed by sounds of water and its joyful and contented chirping. Is this spiritual energy turned to mist? Li Feiyu had already noticed the excessively rich spiritual energy in the cave. And now inside the stone chamber, the spiritual energy was so dense that it had misted, which was astonishing. It seems there is a spiritual eye spring inside. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly, knowing his guess was correct. Although there was no spirit vein here, there had to be a treasure of the spiritual spring. Only then could the spiritual energy become so dense over the years that it overflowed and formed a miniature spirit stone mine. What? A spiritual eye spring? Chongqing, are you saying there's a spiritual eye spring inside? Li Feiyu exclaimed, his face turning white with shock. Though he had never seen a spiritual eye spring, he had heard of its existence. He knew that such treasures were incredibly rare and immeasurable in value. To think that Lu Chongqing had found a spiritual eye spring on this venture. Chongqing, you really have great fortune to encounter such an opportunity just by stepping out. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. It grants a lifespan of 300 years and a combat power, status, and position far exceeding that of Foundation establishment cultivators, enough to be called an immortal. Truly a pity. Li Feiyu took the gray pill from Lu Changsheng's hand and examined it, his expression one of regret. Having such an external pill is akin to gaining an opportunity for a false core. A bit poor, huh? Lu Chongqing briefly inspected the storage ring and storage bag. Sir, the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The storage ring contained no spirit stones, just some random materials and miscellaneous items. But from Lu Changsheng's perspective, even the items of value didn't exceed a few 10,000 spirit stones. The storage bag was very simple. Inside were 3 jade slips and a dark black, somewhat damaged halberd. He briefly looked at them. The first 2 jade slips were cultivation techniques, named Blood Shura Technique and Earth Fiend Holding Heaven Skill. The third jade slip was the last words of the corpse's owner. It stated his name was Jing Jueming, born in the Shura sect of Liang Country, and came to the Jiang Country cultivation realm due to a sect mission. The details of the mission were not mentioned, just that he had encountered a siege by Qing Yun's sect, barely escaping after using all his strength. However, due to severe injuries and the shattering of his true elixir, unable to escape from Qing Yun's sect's territory, he hid here, opened this cave mansion, hoping to use his sect's secret technique, the Shadow Crimson Technique, to heal by transforming his true elixir's origin source, then condensing the demon pill to bring life from near death. If he failed and died, any person with fate coming after could inherit his mantle, to be his successor. If they later broke through to core formation, they should slay a nascent soul immortal from Qing Yun's sect to commemorate his spirit in heaven. This demonic path cultivator was quite a decent person, just a bit fanciful. Lu Chongqing looked at the information inside the jade slip and shook his head. He handed the items from the storage bag to Li Feiyu to examine, then turned his gaze back to the spiritual eye spring in front of him. This spiritual eye spring, while nowhere near the one he obtained from the system's lucky draw in terms of size and spiritual energy density, regardless, it was still a spiritual eye spring, far superior to a spiritual origin pearl. If this spiritual eye spring was used to upgrade the Biyun Peak, the spiritual vein of Biyun Peak would likely advance from high-quality second rank to top-grade second rank. Feiyu sharing sees, I do need this spiritual eye spring. Lu Chongqing spoke to Li Feiyu. This magical treasure, although somewhat damaged, might still be worth a decent amount of money. You can handle it in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. That halberd was only useful to him for practicing the 100 Refinements treasure body art. But since he was taking the spiritual eye spring, It wouldn't be fair not to give him anything. Hence he gave the magical treasure to the other. Considering Li Feiyu's status in Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he should be able to handle it. Chongqing, how can this be? This is your fortune and opportunity. I've done nothing. I'll just copy this Earth Fiend holding heaven skill. That will suffice. Li Feiyu hurriedly asserted. He had selected a main cultivation technique in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. But the body refining technique he used was still the old, profound body refinement technique. He knew after a brief look that his profound body refinement technique was far inferior to this Earth Fiend holding heaven skill. No problem, take it. I feel embarrassed taking everything. Lu Chongqing spoke. Yet Li Feiyu simply couldn't bring himself to accept the magical treasure. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 878. Core Formation Relics, Attack on White Tiger Mountain. Thinking that he hadn't done much and that owning this cultivation technique was enough, he could at most pick a few spiritual materials from the storage ring. Having just returned to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, he could ask someone to craft a couple of suitable magic artifacts for him. Sure. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing didn't insist and passed the storage ring to Li Feiyu, keeping the black halberd for himself. Although this was a low-grade magical treasure, due to severe wear and hundreds of years of neglect without an owner's mana nourishing it, its spiritual light was dull and difficult to activate. It could be said that this no longer counted as a treasure, but merely as a rare material to be recast by someone. Chongqing, how do you plan to take away the spiritual eye spring? Li Feiyu looked at Lu Chongqing and said. Although the spiritual eye spring could be carried with oneself, saw the novel, F.I.R. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. To his knowledge, it required the great magical power of a nascent soul immortal to be relocated. Ordinary foundation establishment cultivators simply couldn't take such a spring with them. Now I manage a family, so I have studied the skills and legacy of dragon seekers, and just so happen to understand some of this technique, Lu Chongqing said with a laugh. Had it been before, it indeed would have been difficult for him to take away the spiritual eye spring. But for a second-order dragon seeker, it was effortless. Scram! Lu Chongqing disdainfully said to the golden mouse in the center of the spiritual spring. Such a clear and clean spring, and you, a mouse, soaking in it, what are you thinking? Hearing this, the seeking spirit mouse reluctantly walked out of the spiritual spring and sat down on the side, looking somewhat aggrieved. Feiyu, back off a bit. Lu Chongqing said to Li Feiyu. Okay. Li Feiyu quickly nodded and stepped back. But as he saw the corpse next to the spiritual spring, he immediately moved it aside. Then Lu Chongqing's hands formed a gesture incantation, and his palms emanated dazzling yellow light, pressing onto the ground. Boom! Spiritual light surged, and the ground around the spring violently shook and cracked. Rise! Lu Chongqing uttered softly, and the basin-sized spring suddenly broke through the earth and began to ascend. Once the spiritual eye spring was completely hovering in the air, Lu Chongqing cast successive spells, causing the yellow light to envelop and seal the spring. Phew! Lu Chongqing stored the spiritual eye spring in his storage ring, his eyes revealing a hint of joy. With this spring, the state of his own spiritual vein, or even Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, could be improved once again. If luck is on my side, finding a few more spiritual eye springs, or even top-grade ones, upgrading to a third-order spirit vein will be a breeze, Lu Chongqing couldn't help fantasizing. Chongqing, you really are skillful, Li Feiyu said, watching the scene before him in admiration. He had learned some details about Lu Chongqing during this time. He knew that his friend was a second-tier top-level talisman master, and a second-order inferior alchemist. Now seeing him also skilled in dragon-seeking techniques, he didn't even know what to say. He thought to himself that his good brother, despite a subpar spiritual root, had deep fortune and incredible comprehension. Even if he were to become a loose cultivator, he would fare exceedingly well. Afterward, he placed the corpse back into the deep pit of the spiritual spring. Predecessor, we won't inherit your legacy. These treasures not brought in life, not taken in death. It's truly a pity to bury them with you. Today, as we lay you to rest, Let these treasures serve as our compensation for burying your bones and erecting this monument. Li Feiyu said solemnly. He then buried the corpse and used his long sword to split a stone into a stele, carving the words Tomb of Jing Jueming onto it. Lu Chongxing, seeing this, also stepped forward to bow his respects. After all, since he had benefited, it was only appropriate to give thanks. Everyone says how wonderful cultivation is, but who has seen corpses buried in the wilderness? A nascent soul immortal ending up in such a state, Li Feiyu said, filled with emotion. He had seen very few core formation individuals up to this point in his cultivation journey. This was the first time he had seen the remains of a nascent soul immortal, stirring deep emotions in his heart. That's why we should cherish the present, Lu Chongxing said with a smile. He, I just can't stay idle, Li Feiyu replied with a wry smile, shaking his head. Besides, it's hard to give up when you're not content. This place still needs to be dealt with. Lu Chongxing looked at the situation before him and furrowed his brow. Having made a path here, others could follow it if they came. After thinking for a moment, he put the seeking spirit mouse into his spiritual pet bag, cast an iron wall talisman to solidify the room into an iron barrier. Then he and Li Feiyu left the cavern and attacked the cave with the giant sword technique. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the cave collapsed and was concealed, with both men transforming into escape light and swiftly leaving. Chongxing, father, Uncle Li. As the two men left the mine, Lu Miaoge and Lu Chuanjun among others were still waiting outside. We inspected the situation inside, which caused some delay, but now we will head straight to White Tiger Mountain, Lu Chongxing told his wife and children. Naturally, the children and others had no objections to this. Immediately, everyone boarded the spirit boat and set off directly for White Tiger Mountain. Sister Miaoge, we really had great luck this time. I found a spiritual spring inside. Lu Chongxing shared his joy with Lu Miaoge through a secret message on the spirit boat. What? A spiritual spring? Lu Miaoge was even more surprised and delighted than Lu Chongxing upon hearing this. That's right, although this spring is not as good as the one we obtained at home, it's still quite remarkable. And inside there was also the corpse of a nascent soul immortal, but this immortal was a demonic path cultivator who has been dead for several hundred to 1,000 years, and since he died after suffering serious injuries, he didn't have any precious treasures with him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 879. Core Formation Relics, Attack on White Tiger Mountain. _4 Lu Chongxing continued. This is already quite good. Not only is there a spirit stone mine, but also such a harvest. Chongxing, your fortune can be said to be incredibly profound. Lu Miaoge said softly. Her heart couldn't help but feel astonished and surprised. Her own husband truly was a favored person of the heavens. No wonder he possessed so many heavenly and earthly treasures, rare cultivation techniques, and spiritual pets. Such luck, it's like just stepping outside could lead to opportunities. Probably starting from the early years when he found the Nine Netherhound, every time he went out there were chances for remarkable encounters. White Tiger Mountain. Zhao family. At this moment, the Zhao family's great formation was fully activated, slowly revolving. All the family disciples were on high alert, with the posture of facing a formidable enemy. Although the Zhao family ancestor had invited someone from the Jinlong Ridge Jin family to act as a mediator and judge, such matters, in any case, could enhance the cohesion of the family through this method. Why hasn't Lu Chongxing arrived yet? Wasn't the message sent that Lu Chongxing was heading towards our White Tiger Mountain? The Zhao family patriarch looked at the external situation, his eyebrows deeply furrowed, pacing back and forth with an anxious expression. He was not actually looking forward to Lu Chongxing's quick arrival. Instead, having received the message that the opponent was coming to attack his family, and yet not arriving for a long time, his heart kept hanging up and down. Ia the Novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After all, with the reputation of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family known far and wide, even though the ancestor had requested the Jinlong Ridge's intervention, he was still worried. They've come. Just then, the Zhao family patriarch saw two small spirit boats in the distance flying towards them, growing larger and larger as they approached. He immediately said to the Zhao family disciples who were on full alert, "Everyone, get ready. He then signaled to his own ancestor to indicate that Lu Chongqing had come. Is this White Tiger Mountain? Lu Chongqing, aboard the spirit boat, looked at White Tiger Mountain. The entire valley was enshrouded in a pale golden formation, making it impossible to see inside. But from a bird's-eye view, it somewhat resembled a crouching fierce tiger. As far as Lu Chongqing knew, White Tiger Mountain had abundant mine resources. In the early years, the Zhao family relied on the mineral resources of White Tiger Mountain and their artifact refining skills, reaching their peak period with as many as 5 foundation establishment cultivators, and once controlling 2 marketplaces. But due to various reasons, they did not progress further and began to decline. And because the mineral resources were non-renewable, over-extraction led to a decline in family profits, and the family situation grew worse and worse. In recent decades, they still possessed 2 foundation-building great cultivators. But after the battle at Blackwater Pool, the Zhao family lost a foundation establishment ancestor, leaving only 1 foundation establishment cultivator, which could be said to be in the worst situation. But the spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain's Zhao family will definitely not be bad. Even if it's not second-order superior, it still belongs to the second-grade medium-quality top tier, and won't be worse than the initial Blue Lake Mountain. Lu Chongqing thought inwardly. Right now, he did not have any plans to establish a branch family on White Tiger Mountain. He planned to wait until his children made a breakthrough in foundation establishment before considering arrangements for White Tiger Mountain. But having acquired the dragon-seeking skill, he indeed wanted to try and intercept a spiritual vein origin from White Tiger Mountain. It wasn't long. The 2 spirit boats stopped at the mountain gate of White Tiger Mountain, suspended in the air. Lu Chongqing, in a green long robe, stepped off the spirit boat, stood on thin air, and a white magical sword appeared in his hand, striking at the pale golden great formation above White Tiger Mountain. Boom! The formation on White Tiger Mountain immediately surged with flashing spiritual light, with streaks of golden radiance flowing within, where faintly, a fierce tiger could be seen ferociously roaring. Second-order superior. Fierce tiger encircling mountain great formation. Lu Mountain Lord, for you to transgress upon our Zhao family like this is simply too outrageous. Do you really think our White Tiger Mountain is weak and can be bullied? The Zhao family patriarch in a purple brocade robe rose up within the great formation, his arm sleeves tightly clenched, his expression both shocked and angry, and he shouted loudly. He did not expect Lu Chongqing to be so arrogant. To actually take action against their family great formation without a word. Simply not placing them, White Tiger Mountain, in his eyes. Too outrageous? Your White Tiger Mountain covets my Lu family mine veins and even conspired against Lu someone's daughter in secret, and you still have the face to speak of being too outrageous? If you're sensible, open the formation yourself, apologize and make amends. Lu someone might still spare your Zhao family once, otherwise, today will be the day your White Tiger Mountain falls. Lu Chongqing sneered coldly, said with an indifferent expression, and his hands did not stop moving, bombarding the White Tiger Mountain formation. Li Feiyu and the Lu family disciples, seeing this, also one after another brought out their magic artifacts to bombard White Tiger Mountain. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the White Tiger Mountain Great Formation's spiritual light surged, flickering on and off. Lu Chongqing, don't fabricate lies to use as an excuse to forcibly take over my White Tiger Mountain. Just at this moment, a voice full of stamina and slightly aged rang out. A streak of escape light flew in from the depths. His hair grayed, his figure tall, in a purple magical robe, emanating an imposing aura, it was the Zhao family ancestor. However, seeing Lu Miaoge there as well, his pupils couldn't help but contract. Although many of them believed that the battle at Red Leaf Valley had been greatly exaggerated, but through some exposed memory stones, the records of the night's events, both of them indeed had the astonishing achievement of slaying several foundation-building great cultivators. Fabricate lies? Upon seeing the scene at the mine, Lu Chongqing guessed that the other party would not admit it. He sneered and said, "As to how things really are, your Zhao family knows very well. Actions speak louder than words. Lu someone is too lazy to argue with you about it. Even if the Supreme Sect inquires, Lu someone will be justified and without a guilty conscience. If you now open your formation and offer White Tiger Mountain an apology, Lu someone might still spare you. If you stubbornly resist and insist on being an enemy of my Blue Lake Mountain, then Lu someone won't be polite. Lu Chongqing spoke, and with a pat of his storage bag, a fist-sized black bead appeared. This bead, known as the Forbidden Breaking Bead, was obtained by Ling Zixiao from Xiaofan money, with the effect of breaking formations and prohibitions. Then, from his sleeve, string after string of talismans flowed out, suspending around him. Lu Chongqing, how arrogant you are! Seeing these talismans, the Zhao family ancestor's face showed both fear and anger, wishing he could immediately activate the formation and engage with Lu Chongqing. Heh, Lu Mountain Lord, quite a temper you have, quite domineering indeed. Just then, another unhurried voice sounded. A middle-aged man around 40, with a square face, thick dark hair and beard, stern in appearance, dressed in a gold dragon-patterned magical robe, walked out with his hands behind his back, looking at Lu Chongqing and spoke indifferently. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 880. Husband and wife join forces. Problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. Upon seeing the golden-robed man, Li Feiyu, Lu Yun, Lu Chuanjun, and others all showed solemn expressions on their faces. At the Wu Jing mine site, upon encountering countless corpses, they had guessed that the Zhao family would seek outside intervention. And that power was likely to be Golden Dragon Ridge, adjacent to White Tiger Mountain. Although they did not recognize the golden-robed man, S.E.A. the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Through the current situation and his attire, they faintly guessed his identity. Who might you be? Lu Chongqing looked at the golden-robed man who had appeared, his expression calm and indifferent. Having guessed that Golden Dragon Ridge might intervene, he had dared to come here. Naturally, he had strategies to cope. Otherwise, upon hearing a mere name, would he have to take his wife, friends and children and slink away, abandoning his dignity as Lu ancestor? Golden Dragon Ridge Great Elder, Jin Zan. The golden-robed man looked at Lu Chongqing, his expression haughty as he declared his identity. Source: Web Novel. Com, updated on Omicron New 0. As expected. Li Feiyu and the Lu family disciples all felt a sinking feeling in their hearts upon hearing this. Do you of the Jin family truly intend to meddle in the matters between Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changsheng's expression remained unchanged, his voice indifferent. This elder has heard that near your Bai Lake Mountain's mine, within the Black Cloud Mountain range, a spirit stone mine was discovered. We originally wished to cooperate with Bai Lake Mountain in mining. But your Lu family, in order to monopolize this mine, has committed murder. Now, you even use this as an excuse to attack White Tiger Mountain. Our Jin family has been on good terms with White Tiger Mountain for generations, and this elder cannot idly watch such matters unfold. Jin Zan, clad in a golden robe, stood with his hands behind his back, his voice steady yet condescending. Coming from a family with a legacy nearly 1,000 years old and a false-core immortal patriarch, he naturally looked down on upstart families like Lu Changsheng's, which had been established for just over a decade without any profound heritage. Even though Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge were well known, he still viewed them with some disdain. As these words were spoken, whether Zhao family disciples or Lu family disciples, all showed angry expressions and glared at each other. Clearly, both sides believed the other had committed unforgivable and utterly despicable acts. Whether this matter is right or wrong will be judged by the supreme sect. Have you at Golden Dragon Ridge really decided to interfere in the feud between Bai Lake Mountain and White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changsheng's tone was calm, scoffing as he spoke. If that is the case, then let Lu someone experience your extraordinary skills. His scoff was filled with indescribable contempt. He has always disliked wasting words with others. The attitudes of the Zhao and Jin families left no room for discussion, a complete waste of time. In that case, it was better to meet action with action. Li Feiyu appeared shocked. He hadn't expected Lu Chongqing to confront Golden Dragon Ridge head-on. Chongqing always acts with caution and never does anything uncertain. He must have foreseen Golden Dragon Ridge's possible intervention and is confident in his actions. Li Feiyu thought to himself, choosing to trust his close friend. Holding the black gold long blade, mana surged within his body. With a step forward, his black brocade robe fluttered soundlessly, exuding an aura of solemn killing intent. Lu Miaoge, looking as pure as snow, stood quietly beside Lu Chongqing, her expression as calm as still water. After so many years as husband and wife, she trusted Lu Chongqing unconditionally. Whatever Lu Chongqing did, she would choose to support and trust him. Seeing this, the Zhao family ancestor was overjoyed internally. He thought Lu Chongqing had really become arrogant, not knowing his own abilities, or perhaps greed had clouded his judgment, chasing minor benefits at the cost of his life. To dare speak in such a manner to Jin Zan. After all, this Jin Zan was the highest cultivation strength in the Jin family, aside from the false core patriarch, with a 9th-level foundation establishment cultivation strength. For Lu Chongqing to offend him like this was simply courting death. Very well, such arrogance, Lu Chongqing. Jin Zan was astounded, then immediately became furiously enraged, his voice cold. He had thought that upon his arrival, after announcing his identity and name, Lu Chongqing would know difficulties and retreat ignominiously. Yet, not only did Lu Chongqing not choose to withdraw, but he also showed no respect at all. This was not only a slap to his face, it was also disregarding his Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family completely. I have heard that you, the Lu couple, cultivate the dual cultivation technique, and together, your combat power is comparable to the peak of foundation establishment. Today, this elder will personally test your reputed skills to see if your arrogance is justified. Jin Zan stepped out of the White Tiger Mountain array, his voice icy as he called out, revealing the spiritual pressure and mana of 9th-level foundation establishment. Though he had heard of the reputations and battle victories of Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, he did not quite believe it. After all, 2 early-stage foundation establishment cultivators eliminating many foundation establishment opponents, including 2 at the late stage, in a short time, that sounded like a joke. He thought it more plausible that, working together, they could perhaps manage to kill a couple of opponents if they exhausted all their strength. Especially since the memory stones that had leaked from the Red Leaf Valley market that night showed vague battle conditions, providing only a rough idea. This further convinced him that Lu Chongqing was using such means to enhance his family's prestige for opportunistic expansion. Shoo! A silver gleam shot from Jin Zan's eyes. In that instant, Lu Chongqing realized it was some kind of divine sense attack secret technique. His divine sense had already surpassed the peak of foundation establishment, striving toward core formation, making such attacks completely ineffective against him. Divine sense attack, I can do that too. Lu Chongqing snorted lightly, and a divine sense attack soul dispersion needle formed in his mind and shot out invisibly. Humph! Jin Zan grunted, his brow furrowing tightly, his face showing disbelief. He had never expected that his divine sense attack would not only have no effect on Lu Chongqing, but that he himself would almost suffer a loss. The surrounding crowd, witnessing this scene, all showed expressions of shock. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 881. Husband and wife join forces. Problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. Although they couldn't perceive the invisible clash of spiritual consciousness, it was clear that Jin Zan had just been at a disadvantage. Elder Jin, if that's all the strength you have, there's still time to retreat, Lu Chongqing said calmly, clad in a green robe, looking ethereal and handsome. Humph. It seems I've underestimated Lu Mountain Lord. It's to be expected. After all, Lu Chongqing is renowned for his talisman formation art and naturally has extraordinary divine sense, Jin Zan said, his expression dark and unpleasant, realizing he had underestimated his opponent and had hoped to catch him off guard with his divine sense. Seeing this, the Zhao family patriarch didn't hesitate and immediately charged out of the great formation to join Jin Zan. At this point, with both sides confronting each other, he naturally couldn't just watch Jin Zan face 3 foundation establishment cultivators alone. Roar! At the same time, a tiger's roar echoed from the depths of White Tiger Mountain. A white-browed tiger, nearly 10 feet tall, appeared, walking on clouds and enveloped in rolling demon chi. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the tiger's fur was sparse and gray-white, its body slightly emaciated, showing signs of old age. This was none other than the clan guardian spirit beast of White Tiger Mountain, the high-rank Howling Cloud Tiger. Originally, Lu Changsheng's side had 3 foundation-building great cultivators. But now, The Zhao family also had 2 foundation-building great cultivators and a second-order spiritual beast. Moreover, this place was the spirit land of the Zhao family, protected by the fierce tiger encircling Mountain Great Formation. This formation was a second-order top-quality array, which even an energy-refining cultivator could control to threaten Foundation establishment cultivators. Lu Yun saw that the situation was not good, his expression a bit panicked, and he quickly opened his spiritual pet bag. Aowa! The 9 Netherhound appeared instantly, with its blood-red intimidating eyes sweeping over everyone. It let out a low growl, its head looking fierce and terrifying, exuding an aura of savage evil. A second-order spiritual beast. Jin Zan and the Zhao family patriarch were taken aback upon seeing the 9 Netherhound. They hadn't expected that the small by Lake Mountain would have a second-order spiritual beast. And this beast's appearance and aura seemed far superior to the Zhao family's howling cloud tiger. Is this Xiao He? Li Feiyu was surprised to see the 9 Netherhound. He not only recognized the 9 Netherhound but also knew that this spiritual pet was picked up by Lu Chongqing 3 years ago during their arrangement. But now, in such a short time, this spiritual pet had actually advanced to the 2nd rank? It should be noted that normal demon beasts would need at least 50 to 60 years, or even a century, to have a chance at advancing to the 2nd rank. And after hunting demon beasts for many years, he could tell at a glance that the 9 Netherhound was not simple. It was at least of Earth-grade bloodline, or even some kind of mutated bloodline. Chang Sheng's good fortune. Li Feiyu was at a loss for what to say internally, feeling a surge of envy. Just a 2nd-rank early-stage demon beast, Jin Zan said coldly and dismissively. However, the Zhao family patriarch and several Zhao family cultivators noticed their clan guardian spirit beast, the howling cloud tiger, revealing a hint of fear in its somewhat cloudy tiger eyes when facing the 9 Netherhound. Gold dragon hand. Jin Zan snorted coldly, slapping his storage bag from which a golden claw, shining like a golden dragon claw, flew out. This claw burst forth with a force capable of piercing gold and stone, tearing through the air and lancing toward Lu Chongqing. Tai Chi Talisman. Lu Chongqing held Lu Maiage's fair and delicate hand, their fingers interlocked, and he whispered to her. He had previously made it known that the 2 practiced dual cultivation technique, so now was the time for the couple to join forces and validate that claim. This was also why he came with Lu Miaoge rather than Ling Zixiao. VVVV. In an instant, both of their mana flowed together, merging their energies. The Tai Chi talisman in Lu Maiage's hand flew out, hovering in the air, emitting radiant 7-colored halos before transforming into a small sword swirling with colors. The Water of Virtue technique included 2 life-bound spiritual artifacts, one for attack and the other for defense. The attacking spiritual artifact, the Tai Chi talisman, could transform into myriad types of artifacts for fending off enemies. Lu Chongqing had planted the Tai Dao seed in Lu Miaoge, giving them a shared source of mana, allowing them to command the artifact. Clang! The Tai Chi talisman sword collided with the golden claw, causing a sound of clashing metal and sparks to fly as the 2 forces of mana rubbed and collided. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What a couple from by Lake Mountain's Lu clan, they really have some skills, said Jin Zan, his face changing slightly, before a cold smile appeared and he continued. But if you think you can match a Foundation establishment peak with just this, you're sorely mistaken. Gold Dragon Square Halberd. He gestured an incantation with both hands and slapped his dantian, as if a dragon's roar emanated from within him. A halberd-like spiritual artifact burst forth from his body, enveloped in layers of golden light, like a roaring flood dragon, radiating strong waves of mana. Roar! Above the gold dragon square halberd, ancient patterns flowed, and a shadowy flood dragon emerged, its claws and teeth ready to strike. Faced with this attack, Lu Miaoge immediately brandished her water dew, placing it above her head to create a series of azure water screens. Wind-fire formation. Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly, making a gesture incantation with one hand and flicking his sleeve. The talisman that hovered behind him shot out along with the 9 mystic true signs, forming a talisman formation that trapped the gold dragon square halberd. Tai Chi sword kill. Lu Chongqing, feigning control over the Tai Chi talisman, shouted out commandingly. Although the Tai Chi talisman was only a low-quality spiritual artifact, at that moment, it was ferocious, exuding an overbearing and astounding magic aura, repelling the gold dragon hand and slashing straight at Jin Zan. "This isn't good." Upon seeing this, Jin Zan's expression dramatically changed, and he hurriedly maneuvered his gold dragon hand to intercept the seven-colored sword. Clang! The gold dragon hand, confronting the Tai Chi talisman, began to falter, its golden luster dimming and the spiritual artifact seeming to cry out in distress. Watching this scene, everyone present was shocked and stunned. Nobody had expected that Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, joining forces, would be so formidable. In just a few exchanges, they had put Elder Jin from the Jin family at a disadvantage. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 882. Husband and wife join forces. Problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. No wonder Chongqing is so confident. It turns out that when he and Miss Lu combine their strength, their combat power is like that of someone at the peak of Foundation establishment. Li Feiyu muttered to himself, astonished by his good brother's strength. He had thought that after his breakthrough to Foundation establishment, he could barely catch up with Lu Chongqing, but now he realized the gap between their powers was so large. This. Yes, the fact that Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge joined forces to kill the robber cultivator happened 10 years ago. Now that 10 years have passed, Lu Changsheng's cultivation level has broken through to the middle stage of Foundation establishment, and Lu Miaoge has also increased her strength. Together, they are far beyond ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators. I'm afraid only the false core patriarch could suppress them. At this moment, the Zhao family ancestor felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, sweating profusely, terrified and regretful. He knew that now was not the time for regret. The only thing to do was to rely on Jin Zan still being there, to make a quick decision. Lu Chongqing must be distracted at this moment. If I take the chance to kill him, there is still a chance. The Zhao family ancestor's expression turned fierce, and he shouted loudly to his family, "Operate the Great Formation at full strength and kill Lu Chongqing." During his words, he immediately brought out a resplendent purple-gold armor and, holding a long sword, charged towards Lu Chongqing. "Your opponent is me." Li Feiyu looked at the Zhao family ancestor, his expression cold and uncompromising as he stepped up to meet him. Even if his opponent's cultivation level was higher than his, he, Li Feiyu, had come through many battles and had never encountered a scene he had not seen, having even killed someone at the late stage of energy refinement when he was at the middle stage. All remain calm. Offer the talismans to resist the Great Formation. Lu Chuanjun looked at the situation unfolding before him, his expression serious, as he immediately released the aura of the 9th level of energy refinement. CTH Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the midst of speaking, he slapped his storage bag and brought out the second-rank puppet that Lu Chongqing had given him, calling out to his fellow brothers and sisters. These Lu family disciples had never experienced such a battlefield, and for a moment, some were panicked. But upon hearing Lu Quanzhen's words, they quickly calmed down and one after another took out talismans from their storage bags. "Xiaohei, that guy is up to you." Lu Chuanjun looked at the 9 Netherhound and immediately pointed at the howling cloud tiger that was roaring out, saying quickly, "Roar!" The 9 Netherhound roared at the howling cloud tiger, causing a look of fear to flicker in the tiger's turbid eyes. This howling cloud tiger was a demon beast at the middle stage of the 2nd rank. However, the suppression of bloodlines among demon beasts was very serious. Not to mention that it was getting old and was not at its peak strength. Even if it were at its peak, facing the 9 Netherhound, it would be suppressed by bloodline alone, weakening its momentum by a third and unable to exert its full strength. Not bad. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, looking at the performance of his children. Although their display was not particularly good, it was not utterly unsightly either. Especially his son, Lu Chuanjun, whom he had always been very satisfied with. "Kill!" He looked towards Jin Zan and coldly shouted a command. The wobbling golden dragon hand, under the pressure of the Tai Chi talisman, finally let out a burdened wail and began to crack. How is this possible? Jin Zan watched Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, who looked like a couple of gods, his face extremely ugly. For the first time, he felt the enemy was so troublesome. He wanted to retract his life-bound spiritual artifact to go on the offensive for defense. But at this moment, the golden dragon halberd was trapped by Lu Changsheng's talisman formation, constantly bombarded, draining his mana. PFF. The Tai Chi talisman sword burst forth with a dazzling array of 7 colors, extremely brilliant, and continued to slash towards Jin Zan. Damn it! How can there be such a dual cultivation technique that allows a middle-stage foundation establishment and an early-stage foundation establishment to have such strength? Jin Zan hurriedly brought out a white light pearl, forming a thick protective barrier around himself. Then with both hands forming a gesture incantation, he fully activated his life-bound spiritual artifact, the golden dragon halberd, trying to go on the offensive for defense to break the talisman formation and strike at Lu Changsheng. However, in just a moment, he was filled with dread. Boom boom boom. Under the assault of the Tai Chi talisman sword, his protective barrier cracked in a short while and began to widen at a visible rate. He quickly tried to stabilize the protective spirit pearl in front of him. Humph! Lu Changsheng, seeing this, let out a cold snort. Boom boom boom. In an instant, the talisman formation trapping the golden dragon halberd exploded on his command. He hadn't used many talismans this time. Most of them were first-grade talismans, with only a small portion being second-grade talismans. Yet the fusion and explosion of so many talismans were still extremely powerful, causing everyone present to tremble with fear. Chapter 883. Husband and wife join forces. Problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. Under 4 Sarch * the novel, F. Iyer. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The 7-colored glow burst forth, instantly shattering the Zhao family ancestor's battle armor's defense, decapitating his head, which was filled with terror. Ancestor! Inside White Tiger Mountain, members of the Zhao family, who were managing the formation, witnessed this scene and all screamed in shock and fear. At that moment, some cried out loud, some screamed in terror, some showed faces of regret, and some even knelt down pleading for mercy. They all knew that their family was finished. White Tiger Mountain was finished. Roar! Beside them, Lu Chuanjin commanded a second-rank puppet and the 9 Netherhound battling the Howling Cloud Tiger, causing the tiger to scream in anguish. Lu Changsheng, seeing this, showed no mercy and used the Tai Chi talisman to slay the aged Howling Cloud Tiger with a sword stroke. He looked toward White Tiger Mountain and said indifferently, "Are you not going to open the formation quickly?" Boom! Moments later, the power of the fierce tiger encircling Mountain Great Formation slowly dissipated, and the mountain gate opened. Lu Changsheng retrieved Jin Zan's life-bound spiritual artifact. Holding Lu Maiage's hand, they descended from the air like a celestial couple, arriving at the gate. At this time, all cultivators of the Zhao family had knelt down. Yet, a few still refused to submit, severing their heart veins and killing themselves. The leading Zhao family patriarch looked at the celestial couple before him, fear evident in his eyes, and said, "Zhao family patriarch Zhao Mingwei greets Lu Mountain Lord, Lu Ancestor. Please spare our Zhao family. Lu Mountain Lord, Lu Ancestor. I am willing to dissolve the Zhao family and give White Tiger Mountain and all our properties to Blue Lake Mountain as compensation. Our Zhao descendants are adept in vein exploration, purification, and artifact forging. If Lu Mountain Lord requires, we are at your disposal, without any second thoughts." The Zhao family patriarch and several family elders immediately said with sobbing faces. Faced with this situation, even though they felt immense anger, they could not muster any will to resist. They could only plead for mercy, begging Lu Changsheng to spare their lives and preserve their family lineage. "Ha! Did you really think I came here to forcibly take over your Zhao family's spirit land and properties? You Zhao family plotted against my daughter, coveted the mines of my Blue Lake Mountain, and even called on Golden Dragon Ridge, seeking to use power to overwhelm and frame us. It is due to these actions that I intervened," Lu Changxing snorted. While he did have his eyes on White Tiger Mountain, the pretext was still avenging his daughter. "Absolutely, absolutely," I spoke out of turn. The Zhao family patriarch quickly nodded in agreement, slapping himself, utterly servile. "Since you truly and sincerely seek to offer reparations and apologize, I naturally want slaughter all of you." Lu Changsheng's expression softened slightly. Thank you, Lu Mountain Lord, thank you. Hearing this, the Zhao members showed mixed expressions of grief and joy, promptly voicing their thanks. However, there were still many Zhao descendants who kept their heads down, clenching their fists, daring to be angry but not speaking out. After all, such an act was utterly disgraceful. Which Zhao family elders and descendants plotted against my daughter Rui? Lu Chongqing surveyed the Zhao members and spoke. After a short while, 3 bodies were dragged over. These 3 knew that others might live, but they had no chance of survival. Better to end their lives by suicide than to later beg for life without being able to die. Lu Rui stepped forward, glanced at them to confirm they were the ones who had captured her, nodded in acknowledgement, her heart filled with myriad emotions. Since the primary culprits are eliminated, and the grudge is resolved, let us put this matter to rest for now. Lu Chongqing, seeing this, spoke in a calm and mild tone. Now that your Zhao family no longer has Foundation establishment cultivators to guard, it's hard to defend White Tiger Mountain. Does the Zhao Patriarch have any plans? The Zhao family patriarch, hearing this, appeared stunned. Then, with a face full of sorrow and tears, he displayed a respectful and flattering demeanor. The Zhao family is willing to be a vassal to Blue Lake Mountain, completely at the disposal of the ancestor. Lu Chongqing nodded. He indeed didn't have the intention to annihilate them completely. On one hand, ending this small matter with full slaughter wouldn't look good on the surface, and rumors would sound unpleasant, deterring and displeasing surrounding families. On the other hand, his family currently couldn't spare manpower to oversee White Tiger Mountain. The Zhao family lacked Foundation establishment cultivators now, but they could still serve as guards. Besides, with so many spiritual root cultivators in the Zhao family, it would be a pity and a waste to just kill them all. They would indeed be useful, whether sent to mine, refine artifacts, or other tasks. Father. At this moment, Lu Chuanjun transmitted a message to Lu Chongqing. HM? What is it? Lu Chongqing looked at his son. The child has some thoughts. Lu Chuanjun immediately aired some of his ideas and suggestions for the Zhao family arrangements. Okay. Lu Chongqing briefly pondered, replying with one word. Others at the scene saw Lu Chongqing not speaking, unknowing of what he was considering, but no one dared to inquire further. Zhao Patriarch, since your Zhao family is willing to become vassals to my family, we are all one family now. This significant matter still requires Uncle to notify any Zhao cultivators outside to come back, so we can all get acquainted. By the way, from now on, the matters of White Tiger Mountain will be under my management. My name is Lu Chuanjun, and Uncle Zhao can just call me Chuanjun. Lu Chuanjun stepped forward, his clean-cut cheeks showing a smile, his eyes narrow, and he bowed. To ensure better future relations between our families without conflicts, if there are people in your family who do not wish to stay on White Tiger Mountain and want to leave, my Lu family will not insist nor proceed with total annihilation. Just swear an oath of the Tao heart that you will not use the Zhao name of White Tiger Mountain to harbor ill intentions against my Blue Lake Mountain Lu family in the future, and I will let you leave now. Whether you become loose cultivators or rebuild a family, my Lu family will not interfere. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 884. Husband and wife join forces. Problem solved. 8K Big Chapter. _5 Lu Chuanjun looked at the Zhao family members and spoke in a gentle voice. Ah! Upon hearing his words, the cultivators from the Zhao family were all stunned, their expressions filled with disbelief. But they all lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound or move. After a moment, only one Zhao family disciple strode forward, his face filled with anger as he approached Lu Chuanjun. Only one person? Lu Quanzhen's expression was unchanged, a faint smile on his face. Since it's only one person, fellow Taoist brother please. Lu Chuanjun made a welcoming gesture and walked out of the gates of White Tiger Mountain with this person. Seeing this scene, several Zhao family disciples, and even a Zhao family elder stepped forward, indicating their desire to leave. Of course you may. Upon seeing this, Lu Quanzhen's face maintained its smile, his tone calm. However, a few Lu family disciples looked somewhat puzzled, unable to understand why Lu Chuanjun was doing something as risky as releasing the tiger back to the mountain. Although these Zhao family disciples could hardly be considered tigers. But if they were left to wander outside, it would pose an added danger to Bai Lake Mountain. Yuner, you and the Zhao family patriarch should tally up the current situation of White Tiger Mountain. Lu Chongqing called out to his son, Lu Yun. Yes, father. Lu Yun immediately nodded and stepped forward to confirm the number of family members, property, and resources with the Zhao family patriarch. Chongqing, although you let Jin Zan go this time, the conflict has been established and Golden Dragon Ridge is unlikely to let it go. At this moment, Li Feiyu looked at Lu Chongqing and spoke in a low voice. He, don't worry, unless the false core patriarch of Golden Dragon Ridge personally takes action, the Jin family can't do anything to me. And besides, this time I merely took over White Tiger Mountain and did not have direct conflict with their Golden Dragon Ridge, so that ancestor from Jin probably won't start a war over this trivial matter and trouble me. Lu Chongqing said with a smile. Even if that ancestor of Jin family were to actually come looking for trouble, he was not the least bit afraid. However, these words, he naturally would not say to Li Feiyu. He continued, moreover, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. There are quite a few families in this area who are eyeing the Jin family. These family forces may not want to see my Bai Lake Mountain rise, but they would like even less to see Golden Dragon Ridge rise. I reckon it won't be long before many families come to Bai Lake Mountain to discuss forming an alliance, hoping we confront Golden Dragon Ridge directly. Lu Chongqing said in an unhurried voice. But having been a mountain master for over a decade, he understood these principles well. Golden Dragon Ridge's domineering behavior and their family currently being on the rise means that the surrounding families probably both fear and dread the Jin family, not wanting them to continue to develop. Like the earlier Jin Zan, although his combat power is average, far inferior to that robber cultivator from the Red Leaf Valley market. But with 9th layer foundation establishment and not being particularly old, not to mention condensing a true elixir which is a remote possibility. But if he had sufficient resources, there was still hope to condense a false core. Once a false core is formed, it's something nobody wants to see. However, he had just been seriously injured by Lu Chongqing, damaging his life-bound spiritual artifact, injuring his origin source. It would probably take several years, even over a decade, to recover. Okay, as long as you're aware. Li Feiyu heard this and nodded, knowing these things were more clear to Lu Chongqing than himself. Feiyu, this man's armor and spiritual artifacts are quite good, they should suit you well. Lu Chongqing pointed to the Zhao family ancestor's spiritual artifact and spoke. Sir, the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This Zhao family, deserving of their nearly 1,000-year heritage, indeed had quite a foundation. Like these two spiritual artifacts, they were obviously not ordinary assembly line products, belonging to the top grade among spiritual artifacts. Just right, as Li Feiyu had previously mentioned wanting to forge an armor spiritual artifact, and here it was served up to him. Don't refuse, I've gained so much from White Tiger Mountain, it's only right for you to take these, and later on, see if there's anything else useful. Lu Chongqing straightforwardly said, raising his hand. He was always generous towards people close to him. Li Feiyu sincerely treated him well, so he would help as much as he could. All right, since that's the case, then I won't be polite. Hearing this, Li Feiyu didn't refuse anymore and laughed heartily. Chongqing, what was Chuanjin doing just now? At this moment, Lu Miaoga asked softly, unaware of Lu Quanzhen's earlier intentions. She wasn't particularly surprised or shocked by Lu Changsheng's display of cultivation and magical power. After all, having been together for so many years, she knew many things. Now, unless Lu Chongqing directly achieved core formation or nascent soul, these situations were no longer able to move her. Didn't you notice? Joyo is not here. Lu Chongqing looked up at the sky and spoke softly. He naturally would not agree to his son doing something like sending the tiger back to the mountain. Only then did Lu Miaoga notice that the 9 Netherhound had disappeared at some unknown time, and she understood Lu Quanzhen's purpose. It was to first deal with the Zhao family members who harbored deep hatred against their own family. Then slowly deal with these Zhao family members now, tens of miles away from White Tiger Mountain. Lu Chuanjin, you clearly said you would let us go. A Zhao family disciple was frantically escaping through the forest, maneuvering a spiritual artifact and using the wind commanding technique, his face showing horror. Lu Chuanjun sat on the back of the 9 Netherhound, his expression cold and silent. Roar! In a short while, the 9 Netherhound swooped beside this Zhao family disciple, biting his body in half, blood and flesh a blur. Lu Chuanjun used a flame bullet technique to burn him to ashes, then applied the cleansing technique to clean the bloodstains from the soil. Thank you for your hard work, Lu Chuanjun said to the 9 Netherhound. If it weren't for the 9 Netherhound being able to remember these people's scents and thus track them, with these people escaping separately, he really would have had trouble resolving them all. All settled, next up is handling the aftermath for the Zhao family. Lu Chuanjun squinted his slightly narrow eyes, stored the 9 Netherhound into the spiritual pet bag, tidied his robe slightly, and with his face regaining its clear and elegant appearance, he maneuvered his spiritual artifact to return to White Tiger Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 885. Brothers' Conversation, Stirring from All Directions. White Tiger Mountain. Inside a great hall, disciples of the Lu family gathered together, discussing the battle that took place today. Although they hadn't done much themselves, the events of the day still brought them a great shock and made them realize the cruelty of the cultivation world. Brother, when did you break through to the energy refinement late stage? At this moment, Lu Caizhen saw her brother Lu Chuanjun return and immediately went up to him, quietly asking with excitement. She knew that her brother worked very hard on his cultivation every day, but she hadn't expected her brother to be so formidable. Chuanjun, you've broken through to the energy refinement late stage. Brother Chuanjun, you must have reached the 8th level energy refinement now, right? Brother Chuanjun, you just let the Zhao family go. What if they renege later and harbor thoughts of revenge? Other disciples of the Lu family also spoke up when they saw Lu Chuanjun. The highest cultivation among these people was 6th level energy refinement. Advancing from the 6th to the 7th level was a significant barrier. With their spiritual root talent, breaking through this barrier would take a lot of time and possibly even require elixir medicines. However, the strength Lu Chuanjun demonstrated today was clearly not just breaking through to the energy refinement late stage. Especially in the previous battle, Lu Chuanjun not only displayed a strength far above their own but also faced danger without fear, commanding a second-rank puppet to fight together with a 9 Netherhound against a second-order monster beast. His image grew immensely formidable in their minds. Hee, I had some opportunities when I was out, so I luckily made a breakthrough. As for the Zhao family matter, don't worry. Lu Chuanjun smiled at his younger brothers and sisters, not saying much more. After all, his actions were not exactly righteous. But some thought of how long Lu Chuanjun had been away before returning and began to speculate, looking at him with increased admiration. Brother Chuanjun, you're back. I've already roughly gathered the current information about the Zhao family situation. At this time, Lu Yun, along with Lu Rui, Lu Xiaoru, and a few others returned and immediately spoke upon seeing Lu Chuanjun. Although he was the patriarch of the Lu family, they were all brothers and sisters, so there was no undue authority. Moreover, Lu Chongqing had said, the matter of White Tiger Mountain was under the full responsibility of Lu Chuanjun, so even though he was the family head, he wouldn't interfere too much. Thanks for the hard work, Brother Yun. Lu Chuanjun showed a slight smile. Fear of might without respect for virtue. Lu Yun was stunned, then his face showed realization, and he followed with a bit of embarrassment. Brother Chuanjun, I understand what you mean, but if this spreads and other families hear about it, won't it affect our family's reputation? Brother Yun, it's the same old saying, true power is the supreme rule. Lu Chuanjun looked up and smiled. With father, all our aunts here, what can other families dare gossip about? Even when it comes to reputation, was our family's reputation great when we seized Bihu Mountain from the Yu family? Or now as we take down White Tiger Mountain? How could such a thing matter compared to others? These kinds of things others won't even dare to gossip about. How could they care about such insignificant matters? As long as our family is powerful, no matter what we do, there will always be people who praise us. Lu Chuanjun said this and patted his younger brother's shoulder. He knew that Aunt Lu Miaoyun had been the main mother in the family earlier, managing all the large and small affairs in the back court, and had not disciplined Lu Yun enough. The novel, F. Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 886. Brothers Talk. Movements from all directions. But in order to set an example for the family, Lu Miaoyun imposed very strict requirements on the behavior and character of Lu Yun and his siblings. During his early years under the doting care of Qingzhou Mountain's fourth elder, Lu Yun had been somewhat arrogant. However, under Lu Miaoyun's strict guidance, his personality gradually became subservient, always listening to his mother Lu Miaoyun's arrangements, lacking in decisiveness and self-confidence. In his usual conduct, he always tried to follow in his father Lu Chengsheng's footsteps, yet he only managed to mimic the surface, resulting in indecisiveness and being overly righteous. This was not only Lu Yun's problem. Many of the Lu family's sons shared this issue. "I understand," Lu Yun nodded, then said with a bitter smile. "Brother Chuanjun, I've always thought that you would be better suited for the position of family head than me. In 2 more years, when the family's leadership term is up for renewal, if you are willing, I believe father will certainly agree." Lu Yun had always been aware of his own indecisiveness and lack of ruthlessness. Brother Yun. Do not underestimate yourself. With you as family head, at least the family is harmonious, and all your younger brothers and sisters acknowledge you, Lu Chuanjun said with a smile. Although Lu Yun did lack ruthlessness and decisiveness, he had always been diligent and fair in his role as family head, unprejudiced and uncorrupted by power, thus he was well recognized by his siblings. After the 2 brothers chatted casually for a while and settled on their plans, they began assigning tasks, mobilizing all the Lu family disciples. TSK, the Zhao family, with nearly 1,000 years of heritage, truly has quite a foundation, said Lu Chongxing and Lu Miaoga as they arrived at the cave mansion where the Zhao family ancestor had been in closed-door cultivation. This place was at the spiritual spring of the White Tiger Mountain spirit vein, where the spiritual energy was very dense, having reached the level of second-order superior grade. It's not to say that the White Tiger Mountain spirit vein was second-order superior grade. Rather, with only one foundation establishment cultivator, the Zhao family ancestor, and a second-order demon beast on White Tiger Mountain, there was an abundance of spiritual energy. Thus, through a spirit-gathering array, the concentration of spiritual energy in the cave mansion easily reached that of second-order superior grade. Through the origin spirit pupillary art, Lu Chongxing could see that this spirit vein of White Tiger Mountain already showed signs of progressing towards a second-order superior grade spirit vein.